Okay, welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022, and this is a joint meeting of the Manatee County Commission and the Holmes Beach City Commission. We're going to start today, as we always start the day in Manatee County, we're going to start by honoring God and by honoring our great nation. Commissioner Kim Rash of the Holmes Beach City Commission will lead us in our invocation, after which Army veteran County Commissioner Reggie Bellamy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, if you're able, please stand.
Dear Lord, first of all, I want to thank you all for Jesus. I want to thank you for all of our family and friends that we have. I'd hope that you'd watch over us all today and give us all wisdom to say in our comments that we make that we all want to do your will. And Lord, be with all the people that are affected by the wars and keep them from harm. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much, Commissioners. We're going to move, because we have people who are here today that want to speak, and in the past we've had meetings that went long and they weren't able to speak to the very end, so we've moved public comment to the beginning of today's meeting, and so we're going to move to public comment. I don't have any cards filled out at this time, but what I'll do is I'll just turn to the audience and say if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come forward to speak on any issues that we will be discussing at today's meeting, please come forward now. Oh, step up to the microphone right over here. Okay, limited participation so far. Seth, do we have anyone on the phone?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have two raised hands. We'll start with 081. 081, hit *6 for us, please.
Okay, so before 081 starts, I do just want to make clear that public comment is for 3 minutes. You would still want to stay on the topic of Holmes Beach and Manatee County matters, and a timer will go off when your 3 minutes are up. Please state your first and last name and your county of residence. Thank you. Go ahead and caller.
081, go ahead, please.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Vincent Martinez, and I'm a longtime resident of Manatee County. I've lived most of my time here in Parrish. You know, I usually don't get involved in politics, but the actions the commission is considering today they deeply trouble me. Myself, like many taxpayers, I just expect that the county be good stewards of my money, the money that I work hard for and that I give them. I expect them to spend it wisely and keep these beaches maintained and available for resident use. But unfortunately today, we're seeing that Mayor Titsworth seems to think that the best way to use my money, my hard-earned tax money, is to discriminate. It's used to discriminate against visitors and the rest of the county. Titsworth and her she has elitist crony friends, and they've shown that their main objective is, unfortunately, it's governing for themselves and not for the people of this great county. I just want fair and equal access to the beach and think that we should leave things as they've always been. It doesn't seem like it's too much to ask. You know, coming from the beach from out in Parrish means it takes a while to get there, and there needs to be open spots, parking spots to make it worth my drive. Once again, these actions that Mayor Titsworth and her crony friends, they seek to serve herself and her friends rather than the county residents as a whole, which I think is just the complete opposite of what the government should be focused on. They should be focused on helping myself and, like I said, other residents just have, enjoy everything like everyone else. So yeah, really today I just asked the commission to fix this and to allow for beach access just for everyone, not just elitist cronies like Mayor Titsworth. Let's remember, let's not forget, spring break is coming up. Today's March 1st. Spring break is coming up soon. And it's vital we fix this by then, or else we're just going to run into a world of hurt. I just really want myself, my friends, my visitors to enjoy the beaches. You know, people come from all around the world to enjoy our beautiful beaches. But when you have people like elitist crony Mayor Titsworth trying the hardest to prevent that,
Mr. Chairman,
down to just the wealthy few.
Okay, thank you very much, caller.
Mr. Chairman, please, will you read the Civility Pledge?
I'm actually looking for it right now,
Thank
but
you
I
very
don't
much.
have it in front of me. So if someone would bring it to me, I would. So I'll just say, as we head into the next caller, please no derogatory comments towards anyone, really, and just try to keep it as positive as you can. Seth, your second caller, please.
Yes, sir. 347-347.
And again, caller, first and last name, county of residence, 3 minutes. Please keep your comments civil.
Hello, my name's Meyer Lansky. I'm a resident of the parish in Manatee County there. I've been retired here for quite a while, and I can't believe what they're doing there at Holmes Beach. This is unbelievable. They're turning that place into a private island. I mean, this is truly, I don't know what they're doing over there. I used to go down to Holmes Beach all the time, but now I can't do any of that. It's like their own little place over there, and I can't believe what this used up woman, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Doing.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for calling in. Is there anybody else on the line?
We have 3 more callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll just reiterate the Civility Pledge, and we'll go to, before we go to the phone, Seth, Mr. Clegg is going to make a quick comment.
Mr. Chairman, I just would remind the public that our rules require that they direct their comments to the issues, not at individuals. And I do think it's a good idea for you to read the Civility Pledge, but it reflects that. That is our standard of decorum. Comments are directed at issues, not people.
So our Civility Pledge has just been emailed to me. So we may disagree, but we will be respectful of one another, and we will direct all comments to issues, and we will avoid personal attacks. Seth, next caller, please.
Yes, sir. 776.
Every county employee is sending me the Civility Pledge now.
Hello. Holmes Beach says that county residents can't use our public roads to park on when we go to the beach. That only their residents, only Holmes Beach residents can
I'm
use
sorry.
the public streets. I mean,
Could you please state your name for the record?
yes, I'm sorry. I'm Matt Duncan. I'm a resident of Bradenton.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Thank you. What I was saying is that they're saying that only their residents can use the public roads on the island. I mean, let's put the shoe on the other foot. So county commissioners need to make a law that no one who lives in Holmes Beach can use any of our county facilities on the mainland. I mean, when you cross that bridge, you're in Bradenton. So let's just do the same thing and make it so that they can't use our facilities. I mean, I think that we should all do the same thing that they're doing to everybody else. I mean, don't let them use our parks, our libraries. I mean, any of the beaches in any other county. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, of course it is. I mean, just imagine if every single area of the county said that only their residents could use public facilities in their area. I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, we are allowed to use their beach, I guess. So let's just say that. But the problem is that you can't use a beach that you can't park near. Do they want us to park across the bridge and walk all the way through to use their beaches? I mean, that's just ban Holmes Beach residents from parking at or near all of our public places outside of Holmes Beach. I'd never be okay with that. I'm sure a lot of you wouldn't be either. It's discrimination. I was raised better than that. I mean, we all have to live in this county together. I mean, let's just be good neighbors, love each other, and be welcome to everybody around. Just do the right thing and bring the parking back. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you, caller. You have another one, Seth?
Yes, sir. 958-958. Star 6, please.
So we're waiting for 958. Just a reminder of the Civility Pledge, and please stay focused on issues and not people. 3 minutes, first and last name and county of residence when you start.
958. Just press star 6 to unmute.
Hi, my name's Nate Smith. I'm also a resident of Bradenton. yeah, well, it's to go off what everyone else has said. What's happening in the Holmes Beach area just feels plain wrong. Not allowing local day trippers, anyone from Holmes Beach, to park near our beaches. It's just a policy that makes the beaches only accessible to the wealthy island residents. You know, we know what's really going on here. The mayor's trying to create a private island for the rich, and that seems kind of wrong. We're all just trying to go to our beaches, the same beaches we've been going to for years. I mean, they are our beaches. They've always been open to everyone. What changed? Why is it all of a sudden I'm not allowed to park near my beach? You know, I still pay my taxes. I should still be allowed to go to my beach. Shame on you, Mayor. Thank you.
Next is 462. 462. Hi, caller. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Nick Evans. I'm from East County, Manatee. I'm from originally New Jersey here. I moved down in 1995. I have a lot of family and relatives that have come down, like so many of us do, for vacation down here. And a couple weeks ago, they were down. I took family down, and we were trying to get out towards Home Beach area with our family and our kids. It took us 1 hour and 45 minutes just to get on the other side of the bridge there, and couldn't find parking. Had screaming toddlers, little kids in the back. They were just trying to come down to enjoy our beaches like we've done for so long. And so I looked. I typically don't get into politics, but I looked into the issue, and I'll just be honest. It feels like a bit elitist that my same taxpayers' dollars don't allow me to be able to find parking as a citizen and a resident of Manatee County. These are on these public roads. Don't my taxpayers pay for these roads on the islands just like they do in East County? What about parks? What about the libraries, boat ramps? What about these beaches? And if today we're cut out from the beaches on the rich side of the county, I feel like what other public accesses or assets will be next? Like I said, I came from New Jersey, and I understand what they did at the beaches up there to limit access. And that's one of the reasons we moved down here, to get away from that kind of pay to park in extreme measures, pay to access the public beaches. And my concern is that Manatee County is becoming just like my experience in New Jersey here. So respectfully, I would like the county commissioners to take into account the impact that it has on us normal citizens on different parts of the county here in relation just to enjoying the public accesses and the public beaches and parking. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have 411. 411.
Hi, my name is Shelley Wright. I live in Myakka, Manatee County. I love living in the country and having horses and still being able to go to the beach if I want to. Our family doesn't make it to the beach often. However, we do sometimes. My kids love it. It's like a whole different world than what they're used to. My kids' spring break is coming up in a couple of weeks, and they're going to want to go to the beach at least a couple times. But where do we park? Not in Holmes Beach, apparently. I guess I'll take them to another beach. But I feel like a lot of other families will do the same thing. That will really make things crowded and worse in those areas. I know there's a lot of different cities with beaches. This isn't being a real good neighbor to the other island cities. It just seems short-sighted. I really think we should think regionally. I'm glad the county commissioners are involved now. They think about what is best for the whole county. That's what we expect from our leaders. We expect you all do what's best for everyone here, not just a few. It's just very unfair to us and the residents. Please find a way to work this out. Thank you.
Next, we have 355. 355. Hi, caller. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning, Chairman Van Ostenbridge, Good morning, commissioners. My name is Allison Betts. I'm a resident of Manatee County, and I reside in Palmetto. The pandemic was used as an opportunity to close the beaches to the general public, and now 2 years later, access is still extremely limited. All spaces should be opened back up, or no tax dollars should go to Holmes Beach. It's obvious that the wealthy residents on Ambrian Island feel they own the beach and do not want average working people out there. It is elitist and discriminatory. I live in Commissioner Bellamy's district, and I'll be listening to his words today, hoping he stands up for his constituents. Thank you.
Next is 408. 408. Hi, caller.
Yes, Carol Phelps. Yes, Carol Phelps, Mayaca City, Manatee County. One thing I'd like to emphasize is that the issue is a matter of space. One of the problems is they're called barrier islands for a reason. My background is from a history of living on islands, and you could only put, you can't put 10 pounds potatoes into a 5-pound sack. So we have to be realistic that no matter how many parking spaces we have a limited amount of space, and we have to have some protections for our environment. There's innovative ways to address it, but our bigger picture is that, as some of the previous callers have said, we're county citizens, we're all county residents, we all pay taxes, but we have an accessibility problem to enjoying all of the things that our county has and maintaining those things. So as far as people like us who live out in the country, we can't even get to the beach. So whether we could get a parking space there or not seems to be a moot point because we can't even get there because of the traffic. And we realize that living in a state that where tourism is a fundamental economic pillar, we have to account for the timing and things like that. And Floridians don't go to the beach in October anyway. But we really need to be a little bit more protective. And when a community is trying to maintain the integrity of their community, you have a strip there of 14 miles that has more cities in it. And there's reason for those cities. And they have control, and they do need to be respected for the people who live there year round. You have to account for being able to have affordable housing in those communities so that you have your service workers that support the tourist industry. We're having a big problem with that now. So you can only put so many people in a place feasibly. And I think that's what we have to look at is the big picture of it, how it affects everyone countywide, and how these other issues that we have, such as affordable housing, the infrastructure, our water and land quality and open spaces, and be realistic and not take this as take it as a blessing and the opportunity that maybe the COVID gave us in reviewing our practices so that we have a little bit more of a balance and we could look at some innovative ways to reduce the traffic, still support our tourism industry, but be fair to all the tax-paying citizens and be fair to those communities where
Okay,
people
thank you,
live.
caller. Thank you, caller.
Next is 246. 246.
At least we're being civil at this point.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Siddharth Kona. As many before me, I'm calling in regards to, of course, the Holmes Beach situation. Also, in the vein of many before me, calling in regards to this kind of privatization it's seeing. Of course, originally the parking spots were taken to reduce the population of an otherwise pretty cramped area. And it seems the residents there have enjoyed since then a certain level of privacy that they did not see before that. And I think they've gotten used to it to an extent, and with this possibility of reopening those parking spaces and reintroducing all of this new traffic into the beach, it's a little disturbing to the peace and quiet. But this is a beach that our tax money pays for to maintain, and to limit access in the way that it's being limited now is pretty, it's unjust to an extent. Personally, I was hoping it'd be opened by spring break. That's when I'm looking forward to visiting the beach. That's really one of the only times me and my friends and family are able to get together to visit the beach, and to have parking, to have a restricted parking when parking could be available, stop us from making those trips up, would be disappointing, to say the least. Thank you.
Next is 983.
Hey, Seth, how many additional callers do we have?
This is our last caller, Mr.
Okay, because it's 9:27, and I am going to cut off public comment at 9:30.
Hi,
Right,
caller.
I'm going.
Yes, state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Robert Friedman, and I live in Manatee County. And I think what the mayor is doing is pretty messed up. I really like the public beach, and it's I can't believe they have the gall to do this. It's under whatever they're saying it is, pandemic restrictions. I don't know. I think that's pretty messed up because I love the public beach. I think the mayor is doing a horrible job, and I think it's disgraceful, and ought to be ashamed of themselves. They blocked off all the good spots, all the local parts, and I was just pretty upset. It's my it's just a waste of tax dollars. I hate every inch of it. So that's all. I don't really say too much. I didn't want to make a big scene or anything, but
Well, you did a great job. Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all we have. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
great. Thank you, Seth. I'm going to close public comment. And we'll move into our agenda items now. The first agenda item, actually, the first 12 agenda items were placed on the agenda by the city of Holmes Beach. And so the first one is beach patrol, increase the funding received by the county to the cost of one officer. So I'm going to defer to Mayor Titsworth and allow her to introduce this item and sort of walk us through it. Mayor Titsworth? By the way, as we're getting started here, you all have comment cards. So if you wish to speak, just wave your comment card. I have a little piece of paper here, and I will make a list and sort of get to everybody accordingly. So.
Thank you, Kevin. And Kevin, thank you for setting up this work session. I think it's long overdue. And I hope someday you guys will decide to come to a Holmes Beach City Commission meeting. We'd love to have you. Okay, in front of you, I included the breakdown costs for our beach patrol for both the Kingfish boat ramp that's going to be expanded hopefully soon, and our Manatee Public Beach. And both the Manatee, City of Holmes Beach has a beach, and also Bradenton Beach has a beach as well. Both the city officers, Bradenton Beach patrols theirs, Holmes Beach patrols ours, and you understand there's a huge influx of people that come to the city each and every day, especially on weekends, and even magnified higher on holiday weekends. And there's not enough parking at the Manatee Public Beach. There's also not enough parking at the Kingfish boat ramp. So they've spread deep into the residential neighborhoods surrounding this beach. It takes some patrolling. it takes a lot of patrolling. So I've asked the officer, and what we've done each year, even when Sherry Corrier was the administrator, is come up with the cost involved in our officers patrolling those two areas. And we've historically had a beach patrol fund that we could get funding from to help with the public safety in those parks. So we did not get an increase last year. We did get an increase the year before, and it was our first decent increase. It started off as $10,000, and then when I first came on, I think it bumped to $15,000. Then with all the COVID response and everything we did, and the heightened patrolling due to public safety, we got it bumped up to like 41,000, I believe, 47,000. So what we're asking for, and what we've always been comfortable with, is keep trying to increase it, bump it to eventually we can get a patrol officer, because I know you all have constrained budgets as too. We weren't asking right out of the gate, fund us a beach patrol. If we can come up with a way that we can get that funded to where we at least can offset an officer. It's costing us more right now than an officer, but it's our city. You know, we're going to contribute as well. But our ask up to this point is to try to alleviate some of this burden from our budget and see if you can help. It comes up every year. I don't think it's time for it to come up this year, but we will be asking for another request. So this is just to put it out there, what it's about, why we need it. I think Bradenton Beach, I believe they get about 90,000. Chief, do you know what Bradenton Beach is getting for their patrol officer? Over 90,000. So just if you can continue to give us some more to help us with this funding, we would greatly appreciate it.
I have Commissioner Whitmore and Dr. Hope's on the board. Commissioner Whitmore?
Thank you. You know, where you're patrolling is the public beach, which is slam-packed, which we were doing for the last year or so with code enforcement, and then that went away. We manned the parking lot, and then you guys were going to do the beaches on your SUVs or whatever they are, ATVs. And then you do Kingfish. You know, we'll look at the budget, at least this person will look at the budget. I'd like to know how much, and in all due respect to to Bradenton Beach, like 35% of their entire city is Manatee County Beach. And that's the rationale is why we did that, is because of that. I mean, we can look at it, we'll talk about it at budget, but I'm glad you brought it up. Sherry did bring it up to 47. We did that, as you know, Judy, because a lot of people don't know. We did that to try to get you guys to take over your tennis courts. And if we could bump up your, because we empty trash there every day. We don't have any Manatee County residents who can get out there to enjoy it. So a lot of it is the tourists and people, here. So we're going to do that as an offset, but then it wasn't enough for you to switch. So that's the backstory behind that. And that's something that you two can talk about individually, but I would look at it. And in all due respect to the public, Mayor Titsworth is a Holmes from Holmes Beach. Her father and uncle founded the city of Holmes Beach. And grandfather, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. Just in all due respect, and somebody mentioned about if you live on the island, you can't use Bradenton. I've lived on the island 52 years, so I'm one of those people you wouldn't allow. In all due respect, I think we can all work out little things, little steps today. But anyway, I just wanted to say she does do the respect. As mayor, she was voted by her constituents, so that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitmore. Dr. Hopes, and hopefully as you're addressing us, Dr. Hopes, either you or staff can get us hard numbers on what we pay to City of Anna Maria, the City of Bradenton Beach, and certainly I would imagine the City of Bradenton. I mean, we have large parks. GT Bray Park is in the middle of the City of Bradenton, and they cover for MSO kind of frequently. But I had you next on the board from your facial expressions. You didn't actually raise your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do not have a copy of the mayor's request, and I don't think Commissioner Servia has a copy of it either. So I would appreciate that. And I did want to mention, and we'll get the numbers to you, Mr. Chair, but The city of Bradenton Beach, we have 2 public boat ramps that are heavily utilized. We have the stretch of beach on Coquina Beach, a public park. We have a sheriff's facility. We have a beach patrol facility. So Manatee County government has an enormous amount of both assets and services that encompass a large portion of Bradenton Beach, unlike that of Holmes Beach. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hopes. The order of the board then is Servia, Satcher, Bellamy. Commissioner Servia.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Hopes just said what I was going to say, and that is we don't have the handouts. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Satcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm so far encouraged because I think all of us come here wanting solutions. This is, for me, I was speaking from someone that, a friend from out of state just yesterday. And when I told them this issue was coming up, they laughed. They laughed. They're like, that's the biggest problem people have. They don't want. And so, but the first thing out of the gate we just had was a proposal for a solution. So I'm excited. I think if funding an officer at $90,000 or close to $90,000 to help patrol gets us our beach parking back, then the county commission that's here needs to get moving on it. And I think we can get that done if that gets the parking back to pre-pandemic levels or pre-COVID levels. So I'm excited about solutions because I felt like maybe we're at some sort of impasse. Maybe we have to look at, drastic measures, and we have options that nobody wants to go to or talk about. I'd much rather not mention them, but we have options. I'd rather, if we can fund a police officer, I like police officers anyway. So I'm all for that if that gets us our parking back to pre-COVID era levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the positivity, Commissioner Satcher. Commissioner Bellamy.
Yeah, positive, always great. And it's great to see you. And I didn't really care for some of the comments earlier. I'm pretty big on the Civility Pledge. But I think what I would like is identify a target cost, because one of the things that I've always been concerned with doing our workshops, we don't get action steps and say, this is what our plan is and this is what we're going to do. I think if you're saying that there's consistently been an increase, you have a target number, and I'm sure our county administrator has a stop point, right? Where we can only go so far. I think from listening to you, we should at least be aware of that. And that should be brought to the table so we can identify, whether or not that is or is not feasible. It goes through the county administrator, and then the board is approving through it. But I do think we should definitely hear that amount or be aware of that amount so we can have more information to make an informed decision. It's just me.
Thank you, Commissioner Bellamy. I have Commissioner Schaefer next.
Thank you, and I'd like to add my appreciation for having the opportunity to have a face-to-face dialogue with our county commission and its leadership over issues that we believe are critical for all of us in our respective positions to be aware of. In my opinion, the agenda items that we submitted for consideration were not meant to be a settlement for parking. And I would also say, as one of 5 commissioners, that we're more than willing to look at other solutions to improve upon parking. However, the items that we've submitted today are quality of life issues. And as many of the callers that we listened to this morning addressed, the real issue is traffic. Parking becomes a result of an overabundance of traffic and congestion. We all know that the streets that we're talking about, for the spots, the parking that was reduced, are street parking. This is not beach parking. These are residential communities. And I would certainly hope, in particular, Carol, who lives on the island with us, realizes the five of us and our mayor are elected by our constituents, not the 408,000 people who live in the county. And we're not disrespectful. We realize the county beach is the county beach for all to enjoy, whether a resident of Holmes Beach, Anna Maria, Bradenton Beach, or Manatee County, or the millions of visitors that enjoy our natural habitat. So on the issue of funding that is one of our agenda items, just a matter of perspective, we also provide police protection for Anna Maria Elementary School, which is a sacred institution on our island and so vital in the continuation and maintenance of us being a residential community. Many years ago, police protection was requested, and our local police department has provided this needed security, more so today, unfortunately, than ever before, in our public school, in our city. In all fairness, the county school district reimburses the city for 9 of the 12 months of the total cost of providing an officer in our community. And that amount is calculated, audited every year, provided to the school district. And they provide reimbursement to our city for 9 of the 12 months, obviously the school term. So that is offered to you just as background with regard to somewhat of a comparable situation when we're talking about beach patrol. I, for one, we're not saying that we're in any way, I'm not saying, because I can only speak for myself, that we in any way, even if we don't get additional funding, are going to lessen the police protection and patrol that we offer to our visitors and to our residents. This is simply on the agenda as an item of fairness for you to consider whether additional funding is adequate and fair for both the county and the city. As we know, the population in our city, the population on our beaches has increased dramatically. So the volume of patrolling and the possible incidents that occur from those who get a bit overjoyous while they're there has increased dramatically over the last 10 years. We have not lessened our patrol in any way. And in my opinion, there is absolutely no intent to lessen it with or without funding assistance from the county.
All right, thank you, sir. The order of the board is Christensen, Satcher, Tidsworth. We have Commissioner Christensen is on Zoom, so hopefully she can hear us, and we are ready for you, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jane Christensen, and I was elected to the Holmes Beach Board in 2020. I wanted to thank the Manatee County Commissioners for the invitation to meet with us today, and I'm looking forward to having a productive interaction with you, and hopefully with this, it'll perhaps even turn into an annual meeting of our two boards. I also regret that I'm not there in person, but I do appreciate the county's willingness to let me participate virtually as I'm out of town. I will say that our city has been trying to get the county's attention for years now, and I'm glad that we finally have it. The influx of tourism and the explosion of short-term vacation rentals on the island has been like a tsunami to our 3-mile island residential community. We're a small coastal community, but we're dealing with big city issues. Anna Maria Island is an environmentally sensitive place that needs to be protected so generations to come can enjoy its beauty. My family and I are longtime residents of Holmes Beach. My son attended Anna Maria Elementary from 2010 to 2016, and I got involved in city government as far back as 2010 when I saw things starting to change, and not always for the good. I'm proud to represent the citizens and businesses in Holmes Beach, and I'll be keeping an open mind to all the ideas that are discussed here. And I'm open and willing to work with the county for a win to all Manatee County residents, which we are as well. I do want to make a comment that to say to some of the callers, the roads in Holmes Beach that are in our communities that you want to park on are actually owned and managed by Holmes Beach. They are not county roads. They are not paid for by a county resident. They are paid for by the residents that live in Holmes Beach. Those are our roads, and that's why we can manage them. So I'd like to share that with the county that isn't aware of that. But thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with you, county commissioners, and hopefully to resolve some of our differences. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Satcher, you're next on the board.
Thank you, Chair. So just taking a look and going off what Commissioner Schaefer said, so I'm looking at the agenda items. We've got 12 things here. Looks like, just off the top, just looking quickly, looks like 10 of them were submitted on behalf of Holmes Beach. So we're talking about the Inland Navigation District. We're talking about water quality, ramps, beach patrol. So that's number one. So there's quite kind of a list or on here of the agenda. Now, I'm willing to get really into these things and seeing what we can do to work together, to go forward, to help everyone and our county. It looks like everything is, important. But probably not going to work real hard on it if off the table before we even start is bringing beach parking back to where it needs to be, where it should be, where it's been for decades. Just because at that point, we're basically saying we're going to do nothing that you think is important, which we only think, really, we came here with one thing. We also mentioned the water taxi, which, I'm sorry, but water taxi, that's just fun. For everyone, right? Doesn't that sound great? Wouldn't that be the coolest vacation to explain or whatever? Or living here, being able to get on a water taxi in Ellington and ride, to Holmes Beach or Bradenton Beach or wherever. To me, the real crux of the issue is, are we going to be able to work towards, the goal of getting people able to park where they've been able to park for a long time? And if so, or if there's a path forward, then man, let's work hard and let's get it done and let's hash it out. And let's get the best people, brightest minds, I'll call something up. And let's work on it really hard. And then if not, then that's a different situation. We should know that ahead of time where we stand on that. I was under the impression that, we're in a negotiation and it's okay for public officials to negotiate. And under sunshine law, we've all got to do it out in the open. So here we are. We have to negotiate. We can't go behind closed doors and hash it out. We have to do it in front of everyone. And so I'm hopeful that that's why we're here today, and that if we're willing to, yield or, be very accommodating, that we can get things. And I'm not asking for the moon. I'm not asking for something that's never been done before. I'm not asking to, for a brand new thing that's never been done. I'm just asking for what we had before the Chinese virus. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Satcher. And so just to be clear about the agenda, our board only submitted one agenda item. Two. Holmes Beach submitted a larger list, so I put those first. And then to ensure that we got to the one that our board wanted, I put it as a time certain. So I did want to work through these specific agenda items before we got to beach parking. So the order of the board is Titsworth, Cruz, Baugh, Schaefer, and hopefully the mayor can get us back on the subject of beach patrol.
It would be wonderful to get back on the subject of beach patrol, but after listening to Commissioner Satcher, I'm wondering if there's even a reason to have this meeting today. This is about educating you all on what's happening in the city of Holmes Beach. There's been a lot of false facts. It's been printed. Some members have actually accused of just trying to privatize the city of Holmes Beach. It got out of the gate really wrong. No, it was on the news. So you created a lot of angst in the world. And the problem is your problem. It's not our problem. You have a public beach that's too small for the amount of development that's happening in the county. That's not us. It was not planned for. I wish 10, 20 years ago, you saw what was happening. You have a public beach in our city that offers 300 to 400 parking spaces, that's it. Then you relied on residential neighborhoods to continue to park these hundreds of thousands of people. There's nowhere in the world are you going to have a park that you can't offer facilities for and then say, well, if your code officers and your policemen would do their job and catch the people that are relieving themselves in the neighborhoods and ticket them, that sounds like it's a code enforcement issue. And I said, no, it's not. You have to provide for the public if you provide a park. People are not going to leave their parking spot to go and take care of their business. They're going to stay there and they're going to do it somewhere else. And we were getting so many complaints. We're smarter than this. You can't continue to develop and develop and develop, and what is it going to do to our resources? This day was to bring you our concerns, our issues, what we're dealing with as a city. Our roads are blocked. We have congestion everywhere. Everyone's circling everywhere trying to find a place to park. All the commercial properties are putting up, tow-away zones. You have a public beach with public facilities, and there was these banks that have been sitting there next door, 2 of them that were for sale for probably 10 years. You should have bought it up. It was in walking distance.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to
Nothing has
interrupt,
ever
but
been
I have a legal
proposed to us.
concern with where we're going here.
We're going to call a point of order for, okay, we're going to call a point of order for legal counsel to step in.
So with all due respect to all the elected officials, I understand this is an issue of intense public debate, but we noticed this discussion for an 11 o'clock time certain. And so
Which makes no sense.
I did not make that decision, but we need to follow the agenda because we've told the public we're not going to talk about this until 11 o'clock. So we could be creating a sunshine problem if we don't follow our agenda. And that's the advice this office has given on time certains for many, many years. And I'm sorry, but I have to stick to it. So I would ask you all to please defer the discussion until 11 o'clock.
Okay, so we do have...
Commissioner Cruz, I understand your frustration. I don't publish the agendas. I just
We have
give you
12
legal
other
advice.
agenda items to cover in the next, 66 minutes, plus a recess. So call it 56 minutes. So
may I continue?
Yeah, the mayor still has the floor.
Okay, so most of these are educational. This is our very first meeting with you all. So Commission said, what would you want on the agenda? So I came with every single thing I could possibly think of that I would bring to somebody at the county level, just to make sure you're aware of it. Or do you have plans for it? If you're going to continue to weaponize funding because you don't understand and you're not willing to dive into the parking issues, I got to understand where you all sit on this. But right now, the funding's been weaponized, and it's not fair. So are we going to go through the agenda with open minds and eventually get to the parking?
You're looking at me, ma'am. My mind is always open. I'm just being honest with you.
Okay. The figure for one officer is $115,000 to $117,000. We're right now spending about $150,000 to $160,000 a year to patrol those beaches. So can we eventually get there? I think Braden Beach is underfunded for the amount of beach we actually have more parking than Braden Beach, and but they've got a longer stretch of beach. If it's not continually being increased, we're actually being defunded. The cost of living's going up.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Cruz, Baugh, Schaefer is the board. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my attorney's going to allow me to even say at this point. I mean, No, because here's the thing. I mean, we got this agenda, and I appreciate where the mayor's coming from. If this is an information session, if this is an informational session, which would be incredibly valuable, I don't say that doesn't make sense to do it that way. But then there's no reason for any of us to dialogue until 11 o'clock because it's an information session of a one-way. Here are issues at Holmes Beach we want to make you aware of. Now at 11 o'clock, let's start talking. Like I do term sheets in my other job for a living, and someone will come back with a bunch of comments, and the first thing they say is, I want the interest rate lower. And then they keep quiet and wait for me to agree to it. And then they're like, now I want the term longer. I want more money. You can't negotiate one thing at a time. You can't discuss one thing at a time until you see the big picture and you see what the trade-off is between what they're asking for and what they're willing to give. And so this agenda, for all intents and purposes, is like the Seinfeld episode with the airing of grievances, for Festivus of these are things that are wrong with Holmes Beach. And that's okay because it's been years since we've had this dialogue. So, it's helpful to hear here's where things are stretched in terms of dollars. Here's some things the county can help us with and get the big picture. But there still has to, at the end of the day, hopefully be some conclusion to that because none of these agenda items were here's something Holmes Beach can do for you or here's where we're willing to bend in exchange for anything. All of it was more money, stop doing this, stop mining, stop growing. We need more money for this. And Holmes Beach is going to facilitate this and build this big thing for a water taxi and provide you more parking and release our height restrictions for this. And I'm not talking specifically about parking. But I'm just saying, so, I just want to make sure I'm framing my mind. If this is informational session, I'm going to listen intently, take notes intently, and this is going to be very beneficial to me. If this is the start of a bigger dialogue on how Holmes Beach can do things for the county and the county residents, how the county can do things for Holmes Beach and their residents, then that's a different mindset I'm going to go into for the next hour until we start discussing it. I just want to know which way I'm going here, because if the line in the sand is, these are 10 things right off the bat we want the county to do and have discussion on, but there is nothing on the other end. There's no trade-off in terms of what we're going to get on the back end, then that just frames the negotiation a little differently. So, so I just want to know where my head's at here for the 11 o'clock time certain of, is this a one-way, everyone put your comment cards down and have the mayor and the commissioners explain some issues with Holmes Beach for the next hour, and then we can start real dialogue? Or are we going to talk about each one individually? Because I have a hard time saying, let's throw $50,000 at a police officer, let's throw whatever. And, I know you guys contribute, but I mean, like the SRO and things like that, but some of that was an unfunded state mandate, not a county thing. And municipalities were required to fund their own school systems in terms of how that worked. But so I just want to know where I'm coming from. If this is information, I'm more than willing to listen. I think it'll be helpful, but I just need to know where we're going with this agenda.
Sure. So, Commissioner Cruz, my intention was for us to go through each of these items. One of them is our item in the water taxi. Here, the concerns of Holmes Beach. I figured there would be dialogue back and forth between us. We think that's reasonable, or we don't, or why are you asking for this, or asking for some justification and clarification. And then at the 11 o'clock hour, we would get to our agenda item, which would be beach parking, and that if there was going to be debate, I suppose it would happen, or negotiation, I suppose it would happen at that time.
I see what you're saying, but technically everything on their agenda is reasonable at the right cost and trade-off. I mean, there's nothing unreasonable. There's nothing unreasonable
says you. Banning phosphate mining doesn't seem overly reasonable to our attorney.
Okay, well, I was speaking more in terms of the Holmes Beach specific. Some of these are more general comments about growth and phosphate. They're outside a lot of scope. But things like additional beach patrol, additional garbage collection, funding trails, all of that is reasonable if it's beneficial to all the residents of Manatee County, as well as just the residents of Holmes Beach, because they're still residents of Manatee County. So everything on here is, in theory, reasonable at the right trade-off and the right dollar amount. So it's hard to comment, though, on one by one until you know really who it's benefiting collectively in the whole agenda.
Sure. If nothing else, if we could not throw haymakers for the entire next 2 hours. Baugh, Schaefer, Servia. Commissioner Baugh.
Well, I appreciate the agenda that the city has brought forward, and I've looked at it very closely and studied some of the things that are on it. And the one thing that I did ask the county administrator to provide us, I know you are. I think in order to be fair to all of the cities on the island, We need to have something before us that shows what the county is already paying for, how much in Holmes Beach, I know that we've received something. And I know that we have other cities that we need to look at as well. But I'd also like information on some things that I don't have. Maybe I'm sure I could probably locate it, but I would hope you would voluntarily give it to all of us to look at. And that would be your budget and your tax rate. What are you charging your residents on the island? You know, they pay taxes too, just like, you know, those in the county pay to us. So I think we need to look at the whole picture. I do agree with some of the comments that I've heard here this morning already. Anything is possible, anything, but it's got to go both ways. And I do agree, Mr. Chair, with your comment about phosphate mining. I don't think that's a city situation that should be necessarily discussed. I guess we could hear your opinions on it, but it's much more involved than that. But I would like the information on Holmes Beach and what your residents pay in taxes and what your budget is and what you cover and what you don't. Because honestly, we need to make sure that everyone here understands it's not just Holmes Beach that we look at. It's all the residents of Manatee County. And the islands, you know, the island comes into play with that. And it does need to be fair because you're asking us in many ways to spend money that's not just tourist development money, but also some taxes paid by other citizens of this county who right now feel very passionate about one item that I can't discuss now per the county attorney. So, you know, I'm just saying, let's be fair and make sure that we get all the information together so that we can make some good decisions on moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Baugh. Commissioner Schaefer.
I just really want to clarify an issue. There seems to be some concern over the fact that the items that we submitted were being used as leverage against. So I'd like to make that general comment. These are not leverage items. I think when asked, if you remember, a meeting was scheduled without any involvement or appreciation of our city's time and involvement, and we were not at all involved in the original date for this meeting. So in order to be better prepared so that we had a meaningful dialogue, we asked your chairman to postpone the meeting so that we could develop a list of items that we felt were important to share with you, in addition to the parking, in addition to the other items that you would ultimately submit. So as one commissioner, I looked at this as very open-minded when it comes to parking. I hope you will look at the items that we submitted equally on an open-minded basis so that we can move forward. And we realize this is not going to get settled today, but it's a beginning point, and we're appreciative of the opportunity to discuss these issues with you. So if memory serves me, we're still on the cost of beach patrol. And I won't reiterate my earlier comments, but we're not here to in any way indicate our lessening in beach patrol with or without county funding. And I, for one, would like to move off of that subject so that we can begin addressing some of the other meaningful issues that we're here to talk about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Servia, Rash, Whitmore. Commissioner Servia.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so here are my thoughts. I would really like to take this agenda and go through all of it at some time, but today, focus on parking. I don't think we have the time to give all of these topics the time that they need between now and 12 o'clock, 2 more hours. And I'd like for us to leave here by accomplishing something, you know. So I just want to remind everyone here that, you know, this is a collaborative meeting, and this is about give and take. and how do we solve problems? You know, I'm someone who believes that when we come together, there's strength and unity. And if we have ideas, you know, it might not work perfectly for the beach and it might not work perfectly for the county, but we've got to come to an agreement to solve this problem. So I'd like to ask that we focus on just the parking. To me, this seems very simple. To me, this is simple because we need to protect the residents' private property rights.
Commissioner
Servia, I'm going to call a point of order so that the county attorney can weigh in real quick. He's signaling me.
We really should not do this until 11 o'clock. We really, I mean, that's my advice, that you shouldn't, you have an 11 o'clock time certain to talk about parking. You should not be discussing it until then. You have 53 minutes and.
Okay, well then I'm going to say that everything we discuss between now and 11 should be related to the 11 o'clock time certain.
Oh.
You cannot do that under Florida sunshine law. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I look, this
we
is
have-
not a legal risk we should take over
Okay.
this issue.
Okay, we have,
I don't know
All
what
right.
else
we
to
have two
say.
commissioners on, is that your statement, or did you have more to add on the beach patrol issue?
The beach patrol issue does get us to a place where we're headed. So let's talk about that. What does the beach patrol do? You know, and I'm sorry, don't want to make our attorney nervous, but I'd like to know, if we get a new beach patrol, how does that serve the county and the city? What are the results first, is the terminology we used to use at the county. If we hire a new beach patrol, what are we going to get out of that? And if that looks good, then it's a no-brainer. then we can simply do that. So I don't know. I just really like to hone this down and focus on a few issues, or we're not going to accomplish anything here.
I do agree. So I have Rash, Whitmore, and Hopes on the board. So I would just ask that Rash hasn't spoken yet, but I would just ask that we keep comments specifically to Agenda Item 1, the addition of funding for the Beach Patrol officer. Commissioner Rash.
First of all, I want to thank the Manatee County Commission for inviting us down here. It's an honor to be here with you all. I've seen y'all on Zoom, but I feel like I went from a little pond in Kentucky to the Gulf of Mexico, and it's an overwhelming feeling sometimes. But what I got to say will probably need to wait to the further thing, but I got a few ideas.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Whitmore, comments directed to Item 1.
I'm not sure if and we're going to talk about it in budget, but literally the public beach is, 1,000, 2,000 feet long, and we're going to pay $115,000 to patrol it. So I'd like more information. I know Holmes Beach in their budget just added another law enforcement officer, and their budget is around $17 million, and I think their millage is 1 point something. Only because I live there, I get the taxes. And I actually got data for the mayor on what the concession balances are in the WCIND, Florida statutes are, because I serve on the WCIND board. That was later on in the agenda. So hopefully we get through that, because I did a lot of research to be able to answer your questions today that we haven't been able to get past 3, sorry. But I don't know how I feel about that, Mr. Chair, because I want, Bradenton Beach is 30% of their city is patrolled, and they're down there. And, I see Holmes Beach officers drive through, but you know how long.
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
There.
About almost 30% of Bradenton Beach is a county park, and parking. Dr. Hopes, did you have anything to add for Agenda Item 1? Because if not, I'm ready to move on to Agenda Item 2.
No, yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
To help the commissioners and the city commission folks put it in perspective, our agreement to assist with policing the public beach for Holmes Beach is $46,412 a year. Our agreement with Bradenton Beach is $125,000. And I think if you look at the proportion of Bradenton Beach, the number of people on Bradenton Beach, the number of feet of coastline, and really covering both sides because of the public boat ramps and everything else, it does not appear that our contribution to Holmes Beach for policing and beach patrol for the public beach is out of proportion at all with what we contribute to Bradenton Beach, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Thatcher has a brief statement, and then we'll move on to item 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to maybe apologize, isn't the perfect word, but, for putting us on and as far as going towards that last agenda item, bringing it up maybe too soon. I think maybe since we do have pretty extensive agenda here, my personal strategy from now on is going to be to hear everyone out, learn what we can, and then when we get to 12, we'll get to 12. But until then, we'll hold off, and all options, I'm going to be listening out for solutions and ways that when I'm in a negotiation, I'm looking for ways I can make the other person happy. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is listening for ways I can make you guys happy, because that's what we like. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to agenda item number 2, and I will turn to the mayor. It is the city's agenda item, so she can walk us through that proposal.
Okay, so to remind you all what happened at last year's presentation for asking for tourist development tax funding, Holmes Beach is in a tough situation to come up with things that qualify. We did a city center project, in fact, it's going to be starting this year, that makes it safe. We're finally adding bike lanes, we're adding some much-needed sidewalks, rapid flashing beacon crossings, some landscaping, some lighting. We're raising the road for resiliency concerns, doing changes to the signaling, keeping in mind that we have constrained right-of-ways. We have a ton of people checking in and leaving at the same time. Everything we did not want to slow up traffic, but we had to address multimodal. I took the whole package to Elliot and his team, and the only thing that qualified was the seawall that had that pedestrian crossing on top. And was it for resiliency, multimodal, because there's a lot of sightseeing boats out there, there's a lot of captains. It's a hot tourist destination, and you see people with their beach towels, bathing suits up on that boardwalk all the time. It was unanimously approved by the TDC board. Brought it in front of you all, and it was denied, mainly because of the weaponizing the TDT funding. But the other people that listened, they said, well, it's not what I want. Well, with all due respect, this was our request. This was what we felt we could finally find a use that would work for TDT funding, and it was recommended by the board and Elliot. So we didn't get that. Instead, we got just another $40,000 that went to Grassy Point, which is the only thing that's ever qualified up to this point. Keeping in mind, we're a huge tourist destination. We've contributed well over $3 million to the funding because we have a tremendous resort community. City of Holmes Beach, we don't have a pier. We have Grassy Point. We have tourists everywhere trying to get every which way. That didn't qualify. So then after this all happened, Elliot did come out, and he went with a staff member. I was actually on vacation at that time to look to see where we could have bike lanes added, sidewalk, because Commissioner Whitmore said bike lanes were more important to her. Sidewalks, the sidewalk that we did ask for was close to our park. It got you to the park, but you had to cross another 100 feet before you got there. So that, although it qualified, it didn't take you right to the park. So trying to figure out what are some other things that could benefit the tourists and that could actually qualify for this funding. Golf Drive has 0 bike lanes. Every single street that has a beach access intersects with Golf Drive. It has a very narrow 3-foot wide sidewalk that's old. So I'm thinking, well, maybe this will qualify. So hopefully you've got it in your packet. It was some that I submitted. It's aggressive. We also get complaints with the bike lanes, which traffic's at a standstill, so everyone's moving into the bike lane. and hitting bikers, and it's not pretty. We're going to try to address the ones we've got with maybe painting them a different color or something, but that's another public safety thing concern we have. But I'm thinking, is there a way that we can reposition Gulf Drive over? We do have constrained right-of-ways there, have a buffer separation, and have a 10 or 12-foot wide multi-use path all along Gulf Drive. I have been working with the MPO. They're looking in the long-range planning of helping us with funding. If we had funding to match, it would really help us out, move that up forward. So I'm thinking, finally, have we come up with something that TDT fund we would qualify for, have a partner in that, MPOs help. I have Sajay Kamiya that's working for us now. He used to be a county employee. He's a traffic engineer. He's working on trying to get an idea of where we do have some constrained right-of-ways to see what would we do in those instances. But right now, I think I've come up with an idea, and this is informational only to you. I will bring it forth if we feel this is a real thing and come up with some estimations. So not for anything to be yay or nay at this meeting. This is just educational. This is something Holmes Beach might have come up with, something that might qualify, that could benefit the county residents, people that are coming out to these beaches and parking on these streets, and our tourism.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The order of the board is Whitmore, Cruz, Schaefer, Rash, Christensen. Commissioner Whitmore.
Holmes Beach they're the second highest contributor of the tourist tax in the county. And they are totally right where they don't receive the tourist tax like everywhere else, and that's a fact. And it's because we did have the city pier, it got taken down, and we waited to see if the geology of the beaches changed with the pier down, and it didn't, so then it didn't qualify for a certain fund. The city decided they liked it without it, so that was like 15, or I think it was 5 or 7 million that we lost because we were going to do that. I did not support the seawall, as you know, on Marina Drive because it was to hold your road up, and I was very clear on that because that wasn't a tourism thing. That was to hold Marina Drive up so it didn't go into that little basin there. But great idea. That is something that I would totally work well, or our chair, it's his district, he would work, but I think that's a good way because you are due your fair share of monies and you haven't been getting it. So that is a good idea and hopefully it'll work.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitmore. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I supported this the first time it came up. I was kind of frustrated that we couldn't figure out a way to make it happen. I think these paths and bike lanes are incredibly important for that island. I think they're hugely beneficial to the island, both from a safety and just a getting around standpoint. Multimodal, I mean, as a lot of people here know, is something I focus on countywide. I didn't get it the first time, so I know we're not looking for a yay or nay and stuff's coming back, but I would support that 100%. I think that's good use of tourist development tax. I'd love to see everyone out there on beach cruisers. They get from the hotel they're at instead of sitting on traffic all day long or jamming up the trolley. It's much nicer. It's outdoors. It's, you get some fresh air. You take cars off the road, and it's win-win, not only for Holmes Beach, but for everyone. If we can get people out to the island, whether it's a water taxi or a bus service or whatever the case is, people will be renting bikes out there and people will be biking up and down the island instead of driving up and down the island. So I fully support any form of multimodal in any capacity, but that island especially. So,
thank you, Commissioner Cruz, and I would echo your comments. We'll move on to Commissioner Schaefer.
Just to add some dollars and cents to comments that have already been made, and I'm very encouraged by comments that each of you have made with regard to consideration in the future. But over the last 10 years, our city has contributed over $30 million of bed taxes to Manatee County. In exchange, we've received over that 10-year period $141,500. So it is a very disproportionate, and I can assure you, in campaigning first time and second time, this is on the minds of our citizens, of the enormous amount of taxes that we countywide pays, but in particular, our concern are our citizens in Holmes Beach pay in relation to the services that we receive from the county. And the general mindset is it is extremely disproportionate. This is just one element of it for your consideration. And I would hope that it sounds like they'll have some meaningful dialogue with regard to future requests for utilization, proper utilization of these funds, because our infrastructure is greatly affected. The point has already been made. These are our streets. We're totally responsible, not Manatee County residents. Holmes Beach residents are totally responsible for the construction and maintenance of our streets, and I'm sure everyone understands that the incredible volume of traffic has placed a great deal of stress on our infrastructure, and we would respectfully request consideration in the future when we have appropriate line items for your consideration. I was struck, I attended the Council of Governments meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I was struck by something that Mr. Falcione stated with regard to, I think, maybe I'll hold these comments because it had to do, is the subject was water taxi, which we will get to, but his point was that he believed that even if there were no promotional dollars spent on the proliferation of awareness of Anna Maria Island, that it would not in any way decrease the traffic, the volume, the excitement of visiting our island. I would hope those words would resonate. Do we really need to continue to spend the thousands and thousands, and I presume millions of dollars on promoting a 7.5-mile beach? And is that a worthy consideration for the county to determine whether it's worth a trial period of a year to suspend to see if it has any negative impact on travel, revenues generated by visitors? So I ask that you would give that some consideration, and I thank you for the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Rash, Christensen, Cruz. Commissioner Rash.
Yes, thank you there. I'm listening to the callers coming in from Manatee County and this and that, and the tourist development tax. We felt like we've been getting, we give lots of money and get pennies back, and my home's within 2 blocks of the beach area. And every time I go down Gulf Drive, I cringe because somebody is going to get hurt. Because most of the people in the vacation rentals, or maybe not most of them, but a lot of them are in the 100 and 200 block, which the 200 block is on the east side of or north side of Gulf Drive. And we have all these people riding their bikes down through there, walking down through there, and it's just a matter of time till somebody gets hurt by not having sidewalks on both sides of Gulf Drive, because that's where all the tourists are. And I'm listening to the people of Manatee County, our tourist people. We got all this traffic and all these people coming out, but the TDC keeps advertising for people from all over the world to come into Manatee County and go to Anna Maria Island. If we want people from Manatee County to come to our beaches, maybe we oughtn't to be advertising so much. Have the beach for Manatee County in Florida. We got plenty of people out there. We got 1,500 vacation rentals. Help me out here, Judy. I think around 1,600 vacation rentals in there. So we are bringing a lot of people out to the island, and 1,500, I'd say the average vacation rental has about 4 cars there. So we're bringing, every Saturday and Sunday, we're bringing approximately 6,000 cars in that are parking in vacation rentals and all these people. And I just think if we want the beach for the residents of Manatee County, maybe we ought to be asking the whole world to come there and take a place of a person that lives in Manatee County.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cruz, you're next on the board. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Christensen, I apologize. Commissioner Christensen, I got a little
Yep,
happy
I'm
with
here.
my pen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just, there was a couple, I got missed on the beach patrol, and so I won't go back to that. I had a comment on that, but on the TDT funding, and the point was made that we do produce and contribute 25% on average of the county's funding, and the second biggest city in the county that contributes. But the fact is that we don't get much back. And this really feeds into the fact that our city is residential. Our city is, I would say, 80% residential. And again, because we don't qualify for getting funds back, because we don't have the tourism. We're a tourism destination in a way of the resort rentals, but we don't have the activities tied to that because we're a residential community. And I think this ties, it has everything ties into parking, but and that ties into the TDT dollars. And it's just another thing. Mark your notes when we get to parking. This is another rationale of why we did what we did, but it goes into the funding. Do we even want more funding? Because what that'll turn into then is more of a Disneyland feel out there. We want to maintain our residential neighborhoods. We don't want to turn into a Clearwater beach. And everybody loves our beaches, and they come because we are a community. And we want to maintain that. And I think that's what many of us on our board are there for, is to fight to maintain our residencies and our community. So it's sort of I know sometimes the mayor has said, do we really want this as much funding as we deserve? Because it's going to turn us into even a worse situation than we already have. So it just goes to show that the funding, is coming from us because it's all the bed tax and the people staying there. And I thank Commissioner Rash for pointing that out, that the short-term rentals are visitors too. We're not counting their cars that are parked in the parking spaces too. So we'll get to that when we talk at 11. I would, Commissioner Van Ostenbridge, I think that item number 8 is a really important item on our list that really, again, by talking about item number 8 with the beach capacity for people, ties into parking as well. So if we can understand item number 8, I think it'll help us all have a clear mind on what we're really asking for when we're talking about the parking. So if you could give that some consideration. I don't know if we can move agenda items down, but I would suggest getting to number, 6 and number 8 are two important ones to me anyway. I think are really important to tie into beach parking. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. We're going to go to Commissioner Cruz next on this item.
I'll be quick. I'm just going to point out relative to the promotion that's been discussed here. To your point, as Elliot mentioned, you'd be full whether we promote it or not. But every city and town in the country and in the world promote their, what they're most proud of, what's most attractive. It's not just about Holmes Beach or Bradenton Beach or Anna Maria. It's about our EDC trying to recruit big companies here. It's about trying to get higher wage jobs here. It's about promoting Manatee County as a pristine, amazing community that you can potentially move your kids and your family to. And so where do you target? You target things like beautiful beaches, waterways, Lecom Park with the Pirates, IMG. We advertise IMG regularly at different places. When Sharon goes around with EDC, we talk. We're not trying to recruit people to pay $75,000 a year to send their kid there to play tennis. We're just showing, look at the great amenities Manatee County has to offer. So yes, a lot of the bedroom taxes go to Holmes Beach. Part of it is because it's on a percentage. When someone's charging $1,000 a night for a 3-bedroom house on the beach, then that's going to be a higher percentage. Whereas other parts of town just aren't as developed for the bed taxes. Look at Premier. Premier gets way more visitors than you guys get collectively because on any given weekend, there could be 25,000 kids playing in a soccer tournament there, and they all have to stay someplace. There's one hotel in Lakewood Ranch on the Manatee County side. The rest of them are on the Sarasota side of University. And so there's very little bed taxes going towards that area, but a huge amount of tourism going there, and that's beneficial to Manatee County. They're eating at our restaurants, they're staying at whether our hotels or Sarasota hotels. They're seeing Manatee County. And maybe one of those people are a CEO of a company and they're going to want to move their company here and bring 100 jobs paying $80,000 to Manatee County. That's how you advertise. City of Tampa advertises the Lightning endlessly. They've sold out every ticket for the past 7 seasons. They still advertise the Lightning. You can't cram more people in there, but it's a crown jewel of City of Tampa, so they advertise it for the global good of City of Tampa and the perception of City of Tampa. So you should take that almost as a compliment that we're spending substantial amounts of money promoting something that we know isn't necessarily beneficial to bringing more people in because you're filling up every single night there. It's beneficial to Manatee County because of how much we love and respect the island as a whole and how much we want to make that an out-facing promotion of Manatee County as a community.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cruz. It's 10:31. I'm going to reset, 10:32. I'm going to recess this meeting for 5 minutes. We'll reconvene at 10:37.
I normally have a 10-minute break. That's my
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And we're back. Thank you so much. Because we're running out of time, we're going to move ahead in the agenda. We're going to go to item number 11, which is the water taxi. And I believe Dr. Hopes and Elliot are here to do a brief presentation and discussion on the water taxi and its impacts in the city of Holmes Beach. It is
Yes.
number 11, water taxi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Elliot will come up and
Okay, I think we're hot, right? Good morning, everybody. I just want to give everybody a quick update on where we're at with the water taxi initiative. This is a joint venture internally in the county administrated with myself, Chad Butzo, Director of Public Works, Bill Steele, who oversees the transportation system in purchasing of Manatee County. There is an invitation to negotiate packet that just recently went out into the marketplace. We're real excited about that. That timeline right now should give us some proposals by March 30th. So we're real excited, depending on any comments or questions that may be broached by the private sector that could potentially delay that. But right now, we're on task for March 30th. We thought it was prudent that as we go through this process and review proposals, that the cities were involved. So I reached out to every mayor and asked for a representative of each city, whether it's the mayor or somebody on their staff, to be at the table, non-voting, to give feedback, suggestions. So then we're hand in hand all the way through. So we're going to do our best to communicate with you to get this done swiftly and effectively. Right now, we don't have much feedback because we haven't really talked to the private sector water taxi companies. But we hope that there's people that bid statewide. So we can't tell you the cost associated with this, the frequency associated with it. Of course, at the COG meeting, we share with you such as some ideas, one step above a cocktail napkin of the hop on, hop off, up and down Anna Maria Island, and then the city of Bradenton out to the island. We know that we're trying to get hospitality employees from driving and hopefully get them on a water taxi. We did get some good feedback from that. I shared that with y'all at the COG meeting, but then it comes down to frequency and cost. So we're going to figure this out. We're going to study it. Time is of the essence, and this could be a huge step to enhance multimodal transportation in our community, not only the island, but the mainland as well. So we just ask for your candid support. We know that the city of Bradenton is all in downtown Bradenton, which is really important. And then, of course, with the equity that Manatee County Commissioners partnered with the city of Bradenton Beach at that pier, Mayor Chappie is all in on that. And we're still, and I know, Mayor Titsworth, you still have some questions, but our communication is good, as well as the mayor of Anna Maria Island. The town of Longboat Key will also be involved. I talked to Administrator Tom Harmer, and they will have a representative at the table, because the perfect world is grow beyond the island to Anna Maria to Bradenton. How can Longboat Key be connected? How can Sarasota be connected? How might there be a connectivity to SRQ Airport as well? So hang in there. We'll do our best to communicate, and I'm excited to have representatives from each municipality at the table so then they can keep all the city councilmen abreast. That's all I have, County Administrator. I'm here to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Elliot. Baugh and Whitmore are on the board. Commissioner Baugh.
Yeah, Elliot, I just wanted to say thank you. You know, I think the one thing that we need to realize is the water taxi, it's great for tourism. I mean, who doesn't want to get on a boat and take a ride? But at the same time, we are looking at it to help for the traffic congestion that we're seeing on the island. You know, also trying to get hospitality workers to and from work, as you mentioned. I mean, this thing could really help. It's not going to solve all the issues of traffic, but it could certainly, of course, help. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm excited. We should have done this a long time ago. I will tell you that the County Commission has discussed it many times in the past. Never could seem to get it, you know, happening, but we knew that we needed to do something to try and help the congestion on the island. So this is a great start. Thank you.
I agree, Commissioner Baugh. This goes a long way to achieving some of the objectives that we've been talking about, and adding a new way to reach Anna Maria Island and to reach Holmes Beach, and hopefully getting some people off the roads. Whitmore and Servia are on the board, and then Hopes. Commissioner Whitmore?
As someone that spearheaded the trolley years ago, this is a perfect example of a congestion management tool. The only question, and I was thinking about this like in the middle of the night the other night, is Holmes Beach, both accesses to water don't have a trolley stop. And that's always key to a water taxi. You need to be able to get on something like Bradenton Beach has Bridge Street. Anna Maria has the city pier. And I'm thinking Kingfish, oh my God, we're going to talk about that later. But then we also have the Holmes Beach boat ramp that nobody knows about except a lot of the locals. And that doesn't have a trolley stop either. So that's something that Holmes Beach and the TDC are going to have to talk about, or this consultant that you're hiring. It's not going to work. I mean, Holmes Beach is the biggest city on Anna Maria Island. So if you can't get to the biggest city on Anna Maria Island, I don't know. I mean, you've got restaurants and stuff they may want to go to the beach, et cetera. So anyway, and I know you don't go over by the Gulf. It's got to be in the bay. So those are the big things about the trolley stop if you decide to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. And, I would think that renting a space at Waterline, whether it's the TDC or whomever, that seems like the best location on the entire island for a water taxi stop. Commissioner Servia.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to take this chance to reiterate my comments from the last meeting that we had where we talked about this, and that is we have to put our businesses up front and talk with them about parking. So when you're on the land side, on the mainland, and you're going to be parking your car to hop on a water taxi, we want to make sure it's not impacting in a negative way those businesses. So make sure they're at the table. Thanks.
Thank you. And just for a little clarification, I think that the downtown Bradenton is what Mayor Brown has told me would be the location on the mainland, and the city parking garage would be the ideal parking location for those folks. So we're in good shape there, which is a great start. Dr. Hopes.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Elliot said is to thank the staff, because this has been a major effort, and it's included multiple departments and city representatives to partner with us. And I'd just like to remind those that are kind of second guessing it, there was a time where the major mode of transportation along the river and along the bay to the islands was in fact boats. And so sometimes we get so far ahead of ourselves with the ease of just jumping in a car, and we kind of forget the various modes of transportation that people actually used to get around. So we're excited, and we're expecting a number of interested parties, and are really looking forward to it. But we are incorporating all of the relative departments to create a connected transportation system, including the water taxi, with the rest of the infrastructure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Hopes. Mayor Titsworth and Commissioner Schaefer. Mayor Titsworth.
I want to make sure everyone knows we haven't been approached yet for a location. I've been hearing from everybody, but no location has been proposed and has come before me or any of our staff. I have been involved in the Kingfish boat ramp, and I see the long pier they're building there, and I said, is that possibly a place for a water taxi? And they said, oh no, that's not designed for that. That's for the boats to tie up, the day boats to tie up. That one boat basin in Holmes Beach is the most used boat basin of all, and they get gridlocked. They can't get in and out during season. There's a tremendous boat rental business. All of our fishing captains are there. It's a very small. You need to come over and take a look at it, walk it. And unfortunately, they were leasing over 25, 30 parking spaces from Wells Fargo before Wells Fargo closed. So now they're short parking. So we're working with them because they're really important to us. They're our city center hotel. So, and we want to protect our captains. So we're working with them while they try to secure another lease for off-site parking, but so far they haven't been able to do it. So that doesn't look very promising. I would absolutely highly object to the City of Holmes Beach boat ramp because that's tiny. And you already have boaters tied up to boaters waiting to get to the dock to pull their boat. And the only way to get out of there is going through Seaside Gardens, which is it's an association type, non-conforming neighborhood that it's extremely non-conforming, pretty much zero lot lines, and that I wouldn't put that on them. So although we may not have a spot, I'm really intrigued. I love the fact that they can possibly have a spot in Anna Maria. They could possibly have 2 spots in Bradenton Beach, jump on the trolley, and some workers can get through, jump on off through Holmes Beach. But I let them tie to my dock. There's no place. Everything is residential on the waterways, unfortunately. That's the only commercial boat basin, and it is so highly used.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Schaefer, Cruz, Baugh. Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes. The mayor made a number of the points previously, so I won't be redundant, but I was very encouraged to hear the specifics at the recent meeting about water taxi, and we may have our difficulties in Holmes Beach as far as being a participant, but I think there's a willingness to listen to determine whether, in fact, there is a location, since we're so centrally located. When you get into the weeds of the specifics, however, it's going to be very, very difficult just because of so many requests for access to the water in so few places that can be utilized. But I think we should be a willing participant as a commissioner. I think it is a very worthy pursuit in the multimodal aspect of no one aspect of addressing the incredible buildup in traffic is going to solve the problem, but we have to look at every element that could reduce and alleviate some of the pressure, and I think this is one that's worthy, and hopefully it'll be successful for the island, even if Holmes Beach as a community does not have an appropriate location to utilize. So I applaud the efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, this water taxi is for everyone's benefit in Manatee County, and we're talking about traffic. I'm not going to talk about the other thing until 11 o'clock, but we're talking about traffic that eventually leads to other things that we could talk about. You know, it kind of goes back to that, help us help you kind of mentality. Like the comments were, nobody's approached us to tell us where we have options to park it. No one's come to us and suggested locations. We're kind of relying on everyone to realize this is a mutually beneficial joint effort and everyone needs to be doing their part. This isn't a county initiative where we're going to go out and tell you where to park a boat. It's everyone's help. I mean, Mayor Brown came to us and said, here's a place you can do it. Mayor Bryant's like, why aren't you coming out to Palmetto? Here's a place you can do it. Mayor Chappie's like, here's a place you can do it. People are looking for options because they realize the benefit not just to the county, but to the individual municipalities. This is a two-way conversation, not the county dictating a water taxi on people. We're talking about too much traffic, too much parking, too much everything, too out there. And now we're trying to work to come up with creative solutions. And so one of these solutions is a water taxi, where City of Bradenton's basically saying, take our parking, put people in our parking, and hop on this boat and take it down to Holmes Beach and Bradenton Beach, Emery. So we keep traffic off at their expense and their parking. But it's still, well, nobody's told us where we can put it. It doesn't seem convenient, but park 2 up in Anna Maria and 1 down in Bradenton Beach, and then use the county shuttle, and then come here and please use our restaurants and our bars and our amenities here in Holmes Beach. Everyone's got to work together on things like this. And it can't just be, you haven't told us, you haven't given us suggestions. It should be you all saying, here's some suggestions. Maybe we look at a different pier. Maybe we look at expanding some of the smaller dock areas because it's beneficial to a water taxi. And we see how tourist development taxes or other funds can be utilized for it. But there's no direction this way. We're kind of relying on all of you who understand your community to make suggestions so we can all work together for what I believe is a mutually beneficial thing for the county as a whole. It's a little frustrating when it's, don't put cars here, but also don't put golf carts here, and also don't put water taxis here, and don't do anything else here. It sounds more like don't come here more than this one thing is a problem. It's finding problems to make it a problem, which it shouldn't be, because we're all trying to work together to help you, because I understand your traffic. I go on that island a fair bit. I was just there last weekend with my wife, and there is a lot of traffic there. And if there was a water taxi, I would have been on it. But if I was on it and you didn't have a place to stop, I wouldn't have went down to Bradenton Beach and taken a trolley up. I would have eaten at Island Time or someplace down in Bradenton Beach and not back on that island because on the taxi. So, you guys have to come this way too. I thought everyone was going to come up with a location to stop this taxi independent of your own municipality, and then we were going to work together to make it happen.
So really well said, Commissioner Cruz. Thank you. Baugh, Sustick, Whitmore, Titsworth. Commissioner Baugh.
Commissioner Cruz, that was very good. Totally agree with everything you said. We're just starting this water taxi. I mean, we're hoping, of course, that it will be very popular, it will be effective, and we can grow. And I would love to see nothing more than to finally see the water taxi stopping at each city. That would be great. And I'm hoping that's what happens. But we have been looking for cities that want to work and that are in a working relationship with the county to try and make this feasible. It's not something we can do by ourselves. It takes the cities working with the county to be effective and to hopefully make this successful. So I just wanted to mention that. It might be that maybe you don't have a location right now in Holmes Beach, but right now, we can't stop at every city anyway. I mean, this is just going to be a test ride to see how it does, and then hopefully increase locations as we move along. But yeah, y'all got to have some skin in the game. It's nothing that the county is going to be able to do all by itself. We need a working relationship with Holmes Beach where y'all meet us, I sound like a Virginian, don't I? I'm sorry. Where we work together to find a medium so that it's successful for everybody. It's not something where we're probably going to come in and put in a dock for you to have a water taxi. I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but I'm just saying right now that's not what we're looking at, because right now we just want to get it started and see if we can make it work. So thank you to the City of Bradenton Beach for coming forward and being willing to work with the county to try and make this effective, because we need it for the parking situation and for the traffic congestion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And Mayor Murphy is hoping that we can make the city pier available in the city of Anna Maria for a stop as well. Okay, so I have Sustick, Whitmore, Titsworth, and Schaefer. Commissioner Sustick.
In 2016, I was with a group that worked on a water taxi. Back in 2005, the Sarasota Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization did a huge study on the water taxi. Water taxi has been bounced around for years. And you get so far and then you hit a roadblock. So it gets dropped. Then it gets picked up and you hit another road drop and it gets dropped. In 2016, a group of people in Bradenton Beach, myself, several sea captains, tried very hard to get water taxi established so we could even hop around the island. Well, the city pier had damage and no place to dock a boat. Bradenton Beach Pier got damaged, so we couldn't use that. Captain Baldwin was put on hold for over 2 years. So again, if you don't think the cities haven't tried to find ways on their own to solve problems, you haven't been paying attention to our meetings. I have a study here. I'll give it to Mr. Falcone, but he can go back and look at all of this. I'm sure there's thousands of records. The cities are more than willing to find a water taxi out there, but it's just not putting people in a boat. Once you put them in the boat, you got to get them off the boat. When you get them off the boat, where are you going to put them? When people want to go on the boat to come down to the city of Bradenton, where are they going to park? How are you going to move people once they get to the island? Suppose the weather turns bad and suddenly you have no way to get the people back from the island to the mainland. you've got to look beyond your nose. He's going to find out it's a lot of blockages, but you can work around them. But it's not going to be instantaneous. The best way we looked at was trying to get some of the workers from the mainland to the islands, because that would help them, that would help the businesses and the traffic. And we were approaching the businesses to see if they would subsidize. You've got to have money for this thing. It's not going to run without a lot of money. And you need to get the businesses involved, like Ms. Servia says, because they're the key to subsidizing some of this to help their workers get to work back and forth. So there's a lot of options. But don't say the islands don't work. They do. They do it all the time out there. This commission has been working on all kinds of stuff out there. And I want to clarify one thing. The mayor is not the bugaboo. She's not the crony person. The persons who've passed the parking ordinance are the commissioners, of whom I am one. So the mayor doesn't deserve some of this foul language. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. It is 11 o'clock, and we have an 11 o'clock time certain, but Commissioner Bellamy has not spoken on this issue yet, so I am going to, everyone else on the board has, so I'm going to let Commissioner Bellamy speak, and then we will go into our time certain, and of course, during that discussion, if you want to readdress and link water taxi to parking, that would be fine. Commissioner Bellamy.
Yes, I commend Commissioner, and I don't want to pronounce your name the wrong way, of your passion and your commitment. However, I think we have an opportunity for a great collaboration here when we're talking about the water taxing. If it is something that has attempted to move forward, and you all have experienced roadblocks, is your terminology. How about those roadblocks come forward and we become aware of those roadblocks, so that's not something else that we have to attempt to encounter? I think that alone is a great opportunity for us to start collaborating. If there's something within your experience or Holmes Beach experience as far as when it comes to water taxing that have already come in front of you all, I think this is a great opportunity for that information to be shared with Elliott. So as we move forward, we show that we're going to embrace it. And I do believe that all municipalities should be touched with the water taxi. But again, discussing with the businesses and identifying a win-win for all that's involved. But I don't think we do that by separating. I think we do that by collaborating and finding ways in order for us to move forward as far as addressing the water taxi issue. And that will lead into, Mr. Chairman, what we're about to talk about next. I think it's we need to look at a mindset need to change, to be honest with me, because instead of us looking for battlegrounds or drawing the line in the sand, like I discussed earlier, I'm always having an open mind, but within having that open mind, the other side has to have open mind also. Exactly. And that I always address the pronoun with all due respect, and thank you for all your work. Earlier when you said your and our, I think we changed that pronoun and it's just our, we, and us. And now all of a sudden, our minds are saying, listen, this is what we're doing in order for us to work together, instead of drawing a line. And we've gone as far as we're going. Not saying that's what you were saying, but that may be what someone is interpreting if that pronoun is not aligned the correct way and everybody's embraced. Thank you.
Great words, Commissioner
Mr.
Bellamy.
Chair,
Thank you very much.
If I can just take 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
All this dialogue, Dr. Hopes suggested to have the cities at the table during this process. That's where we bridge the gap. We're all in this together. We're going to push together, and we're going to make sure we mitigate any challenges ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have an 11 o'clock time certain. It is 11:03. I'm going to move now to Mr. Hunsaker to present so that we can discuss parking. It is the one agenda item that I requested be on the list. And I will put Commissioner Baugh down to be the first speaker and Whitmore to be second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam Mayor, members of the Commission and County Commission, County Attorney and County Administrator. Again, my name is Charlie Hunsaker, and we have a short 4-slide presentation about the history of the Holmes Beach parking inventories that have been conducted. And I want to make certain that we understand that the inventories that we have conducted through our department and with the support of the Board of County Commissioners have been parking surveys that have evaluated compliance with state and federal rules for minimum public access and parking availability to support full grant eligibility for beach renourishment funding from both state and federal sources. And this and it was not conducted island-wide for a study of parking availability. Our inventories were limited to 1/4 mile landward of the Sandy Beach shore, judged to be a reasonable walking distance in state and federal law to calculate and count accessible parking spaces. As the first slide in your screen shows, assessment was completed in 2020 for the purposes of maintaining the adequate beach parking access inventories that continue to afford us 100% eligibility for our grants. And as I mentioned, each parking space was met the requirements. They had to be publicly accessible. They could be paid parking spaces as long as they were available to every driver. Sorry. Reserved spaces or spaces that were limited to resident-only parking are not judged to be public spaces and not eligible in the count. The next slide makes an important statement in terms of the purposes of the study to document that Manatee County, the City of Anna Maria, the City of Holmes Beach, and the City of Bradenton Beach continue to meet the minimum parking requirements to maintain full eligibility. It's also evident, though, between our 2013 and 2020 inventories within that 1/4 mile area that there's been roughly a change in the number of spaces available of approaching 480 spaces. And it's been a result of converting spaces that were previously available to reserve status, which pull them off the public inventory definition, or unsigned spaces that became unsigned or changed by virtue of perhaps even resident actions. Some residents wishing to avoid parking in front of their properties may put up their own signs, enforceable or not. And to a beachgoer, when you're uncertain about parking availability, believe me, it's kind of a nervous proposition. If I park here, am I going to get a ticket? I don't know. And they continue to drive around to see if they can find parking spaces that have been signed. But 480 spaces is the number we have observed between 2013 and 2020 within 1/4 mile of the beach in the city limits of Holmes Beach that are no longer there. As I mentioned, reserved spaces went from 0 to 124. That's part of that 480 number. And as I mentioned, the other spaces lost to no parking signs or vegetation in the right-of-way. Actually, the signed spaces increased by 12. And that unsigned space is decreased by 492 because we're uncertain whether you're allowed to park or not. That's what we've identified as an unsigned space. The City of Holmes Beach, I might add, has, fortunately for us and for the county, maintained even a buffer of additional spaces over the minimum. And that's very important because our inventories are done on a 5-year basis. And if we're down to the line of 1 or 2 or 5 spaces over the minimum, parking spaces can change from month to month, year to year, through development or by actions of individual residents. So a healthy buffer is always encouraged. wanted to say that the inventory that we took, again, is identified here in the map, and with apologies to trying to identify a 3-mile island, it gets to be very, very tight in terms of scale. But I wanted to assure you here, in this instance, again, that 1/4 mile shown on the map below is the limits to which we took an inventory. We did not count spaces landward of that 1/4 mile. That, from my perspective, if I'm walking a 1/4 mile, I can walk a 1/4 mile in 100 feet. So there are other spaces that go beyond that we did not count. And finally, these are more scaled maps that we could refer to if you want to go through a dialogue of where parking has been substantially reduced as opposed to more general actions taken. There's a north and a south location here. That concludes our presentation based on facts, based on our observations, and we'll open you up for comments and presentation.
Thank you, Charlie. And I think one of the main points to touch on that Charlie and I had discussed recently is that there are, because there's been so much discussion about parking spaces and where you're not allowed to park, we feel it's important to put signage up to show people where they are allowed to park, because now you have people circling, fearful of getting a parking ticket when they're out there, and they don't want that. So one of the things I wanted to be sure to bring up was discussing where people can park and showing signage for that. And then we also really wanted to hone in on the areas that are permit parking only. Those are essentially, non-parking spaces. I mean, you have to be a resident to receive a permit, and that eliminates everybody that's not a resident of Holmes Beach. And we heard, as Commissioner Boss said, we heard some passionate residents call in. It sounded like most of them concerned about residents being allowed to do things that then prohibiting the rest of the public when it comes to public assets, which we control many public assets, but of course we allow all residents to park at those assets, as we should, and I would never advocate for anything different. In addition to concerns that this board has, on June 11th, 2020, Senate President Bill Galvano and Representative Will Robinson weighed in on this. Representative letter reads, Representative Robinson and I are writing today to share our growing concern with myriad impacts of locally imposed restrictions on public parking in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. It has come to our attention that on-street parking has recently been reduced by at least 40%, impacting the ability of residents and visitors to patronize local businesses and participate in recreational activities on our beaches. As you know, tourism is vital to our coastal economy. Our shops and restaurants sat vacant for weeks this spring as owners sacrificed the well-being of their businesses to join statewide efforts to combat the spread of the coronavirus. As communities across Manatee County reopen, visitors and local patrons alike are eager to return to their usual activities and enjoy quality of life that sets Southwest Florida apart. Florida legislature has invested significant taxpayer dollars to support the long-term health of our local beaches, yet local government is now eliminating parking, effectively restricting the public's access to public beaches. While social distancing and other precautions are a responsible and important part of safely reopening our state, our constituents are outraged that such measures are now being used as an excuse to impose long-sought restrictions on public parking. State economists inform us that while international tourism is unlikely to recover this summer, which is kind of irrelevant at this point, we're a little far after that, but a portion of the commerce is likely to be replaced by Floridians choosing an in-state vacation this year. Our coastal communities should plan accordingly and seize this opportunity to showcase the beauty of Florida's southwest Gulf Coast. We respectfully request that you reevaluate plans to reduce on-street parking. And that is signed by then Senate President Bill Galvano. On February 25th of 2022, the Honorable Mayor Gene Brown of the city of Bradenton weighed in. He says, Dear Mayor Titsworth, I look forward to the upcoming meeting on March 1st with Manatee County and Holmes Beach officials to discuss island parking. I am confident there will be an amicable solution. Collaborative efforts always help improve the quality of life for all citizens. I firmly believe all Manatee County residents should have the opportunity to enjoy our beautiful beaches, island restaurants, and stores. It is through citizens' tax dollars that we have the resources to keep our beaches renourished and staffed with lifeguards for citizens' safety. In addition, our local citizens continue to play an integral part in keeping our economy viable throughout the year, not just during tourist season. I do empathize with the island parking issue, and I'm certain with collaboration between Manatee County and City of Holmes Beach that we can brainstorm through solutions and reinstate parking for our local residents. Then yesterday, from Senator Jim Boyd's office, and signed by the entire state delegation of Manatee County, the following letter came in. Dear Mayor Titsworth, as members of the Manatee County Legislative Delegation, we are writing you today regarding the ongoing locally imposed public parking restrictions in Holmes Beach. Manatee County residents and visitors should not be turned away from our beaches due to parking restrictions. It is our understanding that the initial premise for the parking restrictions was the COVID-19 pandemic. As you are aware, Governor Ron DeSantis has kept our state largely free of pandemic restrictions since reopening Florida in late 2020. Our coastal communities have experienced an influx of visitors both locally and from other states. Our restaurants, shops, and other businesses rely heavily on tourism dollars. As a delegation who has secured taxpayer dollars for beach renourishment, as well as other investments in our area, we respectfully request you re-examine your decision to approach to reduce on-street parking. That is signed by Tommy Gregory, Senator Jim Boyd, Will Robinson, and Representative Michelle Rayner. This board also weighed in when I brought a letter forward, and I don't have that one in front of me, but that's all right. I think we get the idea. We were all there. And this board unanimously approved a letter asking the City of Holmes Beach to reopen parking spaces that were closed off and restricted or limited to residents only as a result of the pandemic. And essentially that is where we are left now. We heard from our residents, or some residents anyway, that called in. There are 400,000 people in Manatee County, and there are 3,000 and change in the City of Holmes Beach. That's less than 1%. We are literally here to debate whether or not the beaches should be restricted to 99% and left open to the 1%. The order of the board is Baugh, Whitmore, Titsworth, and Christensen. Commissioner Baugh.
Mr. Chair, I will wait until I hear from others. Thank you.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Since I wasn't allowed to comment the last time, I have an idea, because what Commissioner Cruz said, possibly, I know I was there when I voted for Grassy Point. Maybe there's a way that we could put a thing for a water taxi there. And we have two commercial areas in Holmes Beach where the Publix and all that is, and where your shopping center is, the family shopping center. And Waterline is another one. So, I mean, let's hope we can all work together on that. So that's all I got to say about that, since you told me I could do it then. As you know, and the mayor knows it and everybody knows it, I wasn't supportive at all after the pandemic. I was involved with Sherry Courier in talking when the parking spots didn't open up. I've lived there 52 years. Ms. Snook Adams, that none of you know except for Judy, he was the first chief of police. He said, I didn't want you to come either, and I came in 69. So, I understand that we live in paradise and we need to share it. A lot of us moved there, except for Judy. A lot of us moved there because of where we are today. I've had an issue with it from day one. I'm hoping we can still resolve it, because we have permit parking. There's no way in heck I'm going to pay to park on the beach, and I've lived there for 52 years. I refuse to go get one. I am not going to do that. I don't even know where they are. I don't even want to go near there. I mean, I just can't believe that the city actually voted for it. If nothing, you should have given it to us for free. Like you do the hurricane tag when we get on the island during a storm. That I could have seen, but I heard that you had to pay for it. So I read it in the paper, so I didn't do it. We also have major parking spaces, and I heard through the mayor that it is open. I went by this weekend when it was crazy busy. The City Hall parking lot is completely empty, and there is nothing there that says you can't park. It's just people aren't parking there for some reason, unless we're not allowed to. We had the library, we had the school, we had all these parking lots that we could have offered, but the library was empty too. I don't see why we can't open up our parking lot, please. I don't see why we can't open up the library parking lot. There was a county truck there, and that was it on Saturday. So I hope you'll think about that. And, you know, the city had recently reduced the speed limit on all of Holmes Beach to 25 miles an hour. I got a warning yesterday because I went on Gulf Drive, which was 35 a couple weeks ago, and I was going 39. And the mayor had said, I guess at an MPO, that they weren't giving tickets right now. But it changed. I had to ask the chief, when did it pass? Because, you know, there's so many rules now. Yeah. Oh, no. Well, no, they aren't giving any tickets, what I had. She verified it with me, that she said it at the MPO.
Warnings.
I just gave my driver's license. I didn't even tell them who I was. I said, here, this is your speed limit thing. But anyway, so the entire island is now 25 miles an hour, and Holmes Beach, Anna Maria empties through Holmes Beach, the city of Anna Maria. So us islanders, I live at the very north end of Holmes Beach. The next street over is Anna Maria. We use that back road, Gulf Drive, because we're islanders, to get off the island faster. Because all the tourists are going the main drag because they want to go by Ugly Grouper and on the shopping center and all that stuff. So you've kind of making it hard for the citizens that actually live out there. You know, I know it's 25 now, but, so anyway, I never, and I've told the mayor this, the mayor knows this, I don't like how it happened. I'm glad to see the statistics, and guys, we have to work together. You know, I'm one of the fortunate 3,000 that live there, but I couldn't live out there now. A house across the street from me went for $5.2 million without even sod put in their yard yet. Somebody bought it. So, you know, I can't go anywhere now because the housing market everywhere, but we've got to work with everybody. And we all moved there because of the Island Way and the welcoming. And, you know, the signs that we see that no low-speed vehicles are allowed on Manatee Avenue, going over Manatee Bridge, the mayor and I caught that, and the FDOT said you can't do that. So we had to get rid of it, but that was already put in place. According to FDOT state statute, and none of us knew it, but we know it now. And now FDOT's going to do a study to see if we'll allow low-speed vehicles over Anna Maria Bridge. And if there's no safety issue, it will be able to happen. So that's something we all learn. But it's just so many rules. I just can't, as a citizen, believe that you would charge citizens to have park closer to the beach. So that's why I don't go to the beach, can't get there, can't get my husband there, you know, handicap, forget it. Anyway, I just had to ventilate, but, you know, I know. Well, I live there. I live and breathe it. 5 or 6 times a day I go out there, you know. So anyway, that's all I have, and I hope I didn't offend anybody. I really want to work together. We've never been able to talk publicly about this. I don't like how we did it, and I wish that you and Commissioner Van Osterbridge would get together and come up with a plan, even if it's a little bit. Let's try to get out of the no way or the highway, please. It's up to you, too. I really believe that.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitmore. She did call me and said that she was pulled over going over the speed limit, and she said I gave the officer my license and registration and a $20 bill and then folded up in the middle of it.
I did.
And she said, I only got a warning.
I was believing you.
She said, I only got a warning. Isn't that great? And I said, no, the mayor told me they're only doing warnings for a few weeks.
That I got
Carol,
the warning.
you know, it didn't work like you thought. Okay, so good comments, Commissioner Whitmore. We will move to Mayor Titsworth.
Okay. First off, I don't know if any of y'all know, that was my grandfather is the reason we have all those beach accesses up and down our city. And it's one of the things he's most proud of, and I'm most proud of. We have more beach accesses than anybody.
That's true.
Our residents love it. Our tourists love it. Tourism was a vision for him. That was one thing. The duplexes were popular because someone could own one half and rent out the other half for tourism. It was widely important for him. Turned into be so many people's home. It's the best place in the world to raise a family.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in that bay every single day. We had no air conditioning. I know what's happened to our water, and we're probably not going to get on the topic of what's happening with our bays, but I see it. There's a lot of slow-moving creatures that are not in the bay anymore. They're gone. The red tide, the algae growth, it's death. That's why the Holmes Beach has taken a strong stance in clean water and what we can do to help. The amount of people you're bringing out, we're bringing out to the beaches, we're not offering facilities for them, it's wrong. We can't just say, you're going to continue to have unlimited parking up and down every single residential street, and we're going to continue to moving the line farther out east and turning all this farmland into huge developments, and you're going to continue to provide parking for every single person. You know that parking of 1,200 that we currently have, of 1,000 of it's in our residential neighborhoods, that's only within 1/4 mile. People can walk a lot farther than a 1/4 mile. Add all the parking on the other side of that 1/4 mile that's still available. No one has ever listened to the facts. No one has asked one time to come in or come out to us and let's talk. What can we do? Yes, Manatee County missed the chance to buy some banks really close to your beach that has all the facilities. And that's tragic. We still have one, but the dollar keeps going up. Bank of America. Could you do something there? Could you do a parking garage? I don't know, but it's not us to design your facility. This is your public beach, and these people have to be routed to your public beach. Bring us something. Bring us something that we can look at to see what we can do for you. But we don't have the funding that you all have. And it's not up to us to provide parking for your beaches.
It's your beaches.
I'm talking about the public beach, Carol. That's where all the bathrooms are. That's where the refreshments are. That's where people can run if the skies open up and it's, in a lightning storm. We're here to help you, but we can only do what we're asked. And so far, we haven't been asked. All it's come to us so far is put it back in the neighborhoods. That's not fair. But then I'm thinking, why are they so intent on making the residents become the parking lot? And then I looked, it's like, I know why. I hope this isn't it. But the non-homestead taxes that you collect, the people that gave up and left the city, and now it's turned into resort housing, you get $25 million in the last 10 years, as opposed to the $8 million from the people that are still holding out. Do you even want residents out there anymore? You made $30 million in TDT funding. It's almost like I'm feeling I'm your enemy instead of, that's why that us and you and yours and our, and we don't feel like we're appreciated, even though we're your biggest cash cow. We're residents and we do still deserve to have a quality of life. I've seen such tremendous changes out there. My children can't raise their children out there anymore. The prices are out of the world. A teardown on Chilson on Bimini Bay just went for $5 million. It's like, that's ungodly. But look at the taxes you're going to get. It's not going to be a homestead. I mean, it makes sense that we're not important to you anymore. And you wouldn't even have to run and even ask for one single vote from the city. Our residents have come down. We don't have a voice out here anymore. So we get it. It's sad. If we have to, if the weaponization of funding continues the way it's going to, we're going to have to come up with other ways to make money. I have a good relationship with the senators. Why this had to come up as a bomb the night before the meeting, I expected it. You got to have everybody behind you. But reach out to me and find out what our real problems are. I'm here. I will answer my cell phone just like that. We do have issues, and we want to work with you. Do we want to continue to bring them all in our neighborhoods? That's not an answer. We have to provide facilities. Get them in on the island quick, get them off the island. Get the infrastructure.
roadway levels of service. There has to be a study done. Okay, all these new communities coming in, they all want to come out. How many cars will our roadway service provide for? We're already stuck in traffic. There's also the FDEP's carrying capacity guidelines. I included in the agenda packet what I paid our planner to do. Are we already maxed? Are we over the recommended carrying capacity for these beaches? Do we already have too many bodies out there? And then if there really is an FDEP carrying capacity, is that what the state used for their guidelines in saying we had to have that magical 364 parking places for beach renourishment? Just so you all understand, the state guideline already had a 20% factor in with their 360-something parking places, and it has to be throughout the city. It can't just be bunched up in one. But we have an interlocal agreement that we signed with the county with even a bigger buffer of 500. They came to us 2 years ago and said, you're fine. And it was between Sherry Corrier, Charlie, the woman who did the surveying, you're fine, but at each end, just in case something happens at each end, between us and Anna Maria and us and Braden Beach, can you add some more parking there? Absolutely. Give us a figure. What do you need? I have a great relationship with Charlie. Tell me what you need. We gave him another 55, and he's happy because trolley stops also contribute to meeting the guidelines, as do bike racks. I said, are we good? Yep. Thanks. It's been great working with you. I don't understand if we provide probably 4 times what's required for the state, over 2 times what's required for our agreement with the county, how can you weaponize funding? We comply. We more than comply. All we've actually done is finally took from this quarter-mile distance to the beach. This is what we feel we can safely provide. We finally put a maximum in that area. That's all we did. Before, back when I was a little girl, you get maybe 5, 7, maybe 10 cars at some of those things. But continue developing out here, you'll never have enough spaces, and the people will never be able to get out to the city. So it's not just putting it on us, the small guy, and saying, the county, yeah, you better put it all the way back. Come up with a plan. We're here to work with you, but we want facilities for these people. These are thousands of people coming out. You can't expect them to use the COTS as their restroom, which is happening now. We have to provide for them. Robinson's has facilities for people. Every park has facilities. If you want to buy more beachfront property and do another public beach and need it rezoned, come see me. But we can't continue to just say, blinders on, you got to do that, or we're going to bully you. It's wrong. And I don't feel like I'm a part of the county anymore. And it's wrong. I've always had a great relationship with the county. So I had notes. Let me make sure I covered everything because I want to figure it out. Bank of America, quick on and off the island. I wish, grab TDT money. I wish you would really seriously consider that building, that property. Library, there's restrooms close by. Give us a plan. What do you want? They're closed Sundays. And what are they, open half day on Saturdays? Right now, it's not permitted in the lease. So ask us to redo the lease. We need to do it.
That's why we're here.
No, it's been threats. It hasn't been any real sit down. Let's get our attorneys together. Can we do this? I've never gotten that call.
The school. Back when we had a Labor Day or Memorial Day, I said, use the school, but we want trash cans. We want a couple portalettes. And is there a chance, because it's never been used as a advertised beach parking area, can Manatee County provide for us an RFB, get it in the book so we can have a rapid flashing, because people are carrying everything. They're taking their coolers, their chairs, everything down the street. Would that be a good place to get a safe crossing? And in the meantime, if you want to do it this holiday, can you give us a code enforcement guy from your team to help them get across the street? The response I got was, no one's been hit yet. We don't think that's necessary. It's never been used for beach access. So you don't wait for someone to get hit before you plan ahead. So I just want you to know I'm on board, but we got to have some type of a dialogue between us so we can come up with some solutions, because we can't do this to our residents anymore and allow it to continue to funnel up and down every single street.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a long board here. I'm going to exercise my privilege and go first. So I don't think that the letter from the state delegation was really a bomb. You said yourself that you were expecting it, but then you said it was a bomb. But Senator Boyd told me that you would not be surprised by the letter when he told me he was sending it. So I don't really think that the letter is a bomb. You did ask, you said, you asked us to tell you what it is we want. Hopefully we did that today. We want 480 parking spots back. Regarding people leaving the island, it certainly is not that we don't want residents. My family were residents out there. My parents lived out there when I was born. They moved into town when I was young. And all of my family has moved off of the island because essentially they cashed out. Their teardown wasn't $5 million. They cashed out too soon. But Commissioner Whitmore is going to cash out one day, I'm sure. And yeah, she's on Zillow every night. So you're on Zillow every night, Commissioner. But people are cashing out, and that's why they're leaving. It is unfortunate that it still isn't the residential community that it used to be, and that now there are 1,600 short-term rentals in the city. But there are 1,600 short-term rentals in the city, and that is what it is. And the city has changed dramatically. The free market does that. We don't always have a say in controlling things to that extent. You can form an HOA and you can try to control your neighborhood that way. There are some measures that can be taken, but to a great extent, the horse is out of the barn. So now we're trying to manage what we have. I don't think that the solution to more people coming to the island is fewer parking spaces. I think that's a pretty logical thought, in my opinion. And then the Bank of America, I would say to my fellow board members, I don't see any reason for us to spend millions of dollars purchasing the Bank of America building that's blocks away and across two pretty good-sized roads to the beach, when we already own multiple acres at Manatee Avenue and Gulf Drive at the public beach. If we're going to build a parking garage, it seems logical that that's where that parking garage should go. I think at some point we should start looking at what the cost of that parking garage would be. How would we try to make sure that parking garage is an amenity and is a draw so that people want to go to the public beach? Because I fear that if we start just charging for parking and we say, oh, yeah, it's covered, that's what you get, that's going to push people into the neighborhoods. I think you have a lot of folks who are going to say, well, I'm not going to charge $5. I'm going to go drive around the island through all these neighborhoods and see if I can find a free spot first. Listen, I spend 30 minutes saving $14 on an airline ticket online, so I'm that guy that will drive around. Fiscal conservative is how I refer to myself. Yeah, some people have other terms for it, but I say I'm fiscal conservative. But it's true though. People will do that. That will exacerbate the traffic issue, which I think the traffic issue is exacerbated by at least 480 cars right now, because you have these vehicles that are sort of circling the runway, looking for a landing spot, and it makes traffic worse. So there's that, and then the school. You paint a rosy picture of the issue with the school over Memorial Day weekend. The island became combative. Dr. Hopes and I, worked with the school board on an agreement to allow people to park at the elementary school, and the Holmes Beach Police Department put up a social media post the day before that said that people would be arrested for criminal trespass if they parked. And he and I are envisioning single moms with their water noodles, when we had an agreement with the school board. But we still do have, good news is we still do have an agreement with the school board. The county attorney is going to amend that to open it up so that it's essentially any time that the school is not in use, that we can utilize it for beach parking. We did have trash cans out there. We did have code enforcement make several sweeps through there. We did not put a crossing guard up. There's only, I think, 65 spaces. If I could be wrong, but it's not very many. So let's say it's 65 spaces. People know how to cross the road. They knew how to cross the road before they got there, and they know how to cross the road when they get there. And it's a school. My memory is not perfect, but I'm going to say there's likely a crosswalk right there at the property. And that felt like the goalposts were being shifted on us in an effort to make our objectives unattainable. And that's when it started to feel as if, I'm not saying the residents in Holmes Beach, but it felt as if the administration in Holmes Beach was being unwelcoming, and they didn't want the rest of Manatee County residents to come out to their island. And I do understand your frustrations. I would not be pleased if someone was relieving themselves, in the sea oats, and I was watching that. And I get it. There's, people litter, and I understand there's a lot of traffic, but we don't ban things because of a few bad apples. We don't say, now no one can utilize these community assets, or we're going to limit access to them because of a few bad apples. I wish what day is Shake Pit closed? Wednesdays? I think it's Wednesdays, because I was going home on Manatee Avenue at like 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and there was a gentleman relieving himself along the side of Shake Pit. And I'm sitting at the red light looking over, and I'm like, how about that? It's pretty brazen. It's midday. People litter on Manatee Avenue all the time, and there's certainly, in my opinion, everyone has their own opinion, too much traffic on Manatee Avenue. But we're not going to close Manatee Avenue, and we're not going to limit the number of vehicles that we allow on Manatee Avenue. When it comes to limiting the number of people on the island, or what is the island's capacity, I get it. There's a lot of people on the island, and it has changed dramatically. My grandmother, who moved to the island in the 30s, told me that it was ruined, this whole town was ruined, when they paved and 4-laned Manatee Avenue. It became a concrete jungle. When they added a second bridge to the island was ruined. And actually, it was the Holmes family that was developing the island back then and had the need for the second bridge. So that's her opinion. She's certainly entitled to it. The people who've moved here since then don't agree with that. And there's no way that we can say, okay, the island is full. How do you say the last car has crossed over, and on a state-owned bridge, on a state-owned road, you tell the next Florida taxpayer or the next Manatee County taxpayer that you're not allowed on the island because it's full, even though, let's be honest, it's mostly full with a bunch of damn Yankees that have come down for the week. But now you can't go to your beach, right? So we're okay with the rich tourists coming down for the week who'll pay $20,000 a week for their rental, but the average working Joe who, in my district, lives basically between Manatee Avenue and Cortez Road and that long triangle. If you drive through there, it is one tradesman's vehicle in the evenings after another. Those are blue-collar, working-class people, and if they want somewhere to go for free with their family that is safe, they usually go to the beach, and that makes sense. And you can't cut them off from that. It's just my opinion. The order of the board is Christensen, Servia, Bellamy, Sustick, Schaefer, Hopes, Whitmore. Commissioner Christensen, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with what the mayor was saying, and I totally think she hit the nail on the head and verbalized our issues really well. So thank you, Mayor. I want to share that again, our community is 80% residential. The roads in the neighborhoods were never intended to be used for beach parking. These were street roads where people live and raise their families. Parking restrictions that have been put in place have been due to safety concerns. We're trying to maintain our community, and that's what this is really about, is safety and maintaining our residential community. And that's what people like about coming to the beach, is that it's residential, they feel safe. And if we don't have people living out there, then it's not really what people want to go and visit. The concept of reducing street parking in Holmes Beach started back in 2013. Studies were done to find out how other coastal communities were handling parking in neighborhoods in other beach communities. And we found that virtually Manatee County was one of the last counties that had free beaches and open access to park anywhere. In 2016, the Holmes Beach Commission agreed to implement parking restrictions. So this has been in the works for over 5, 6, 7 years. The implementation took a lot longer than it should have. And the commission finally agreed to implement the parking restrictions to save our neighborhoods. Unfortunately, it took until 2020 for that to happen. Again, I look at it as two different, you got to think about it as beach parking and residential street parking. They're two different things. Beach parking, we have beach access points, like the mayor said, that were donated by her family. And almost every road, most roads in Holmes Beach end at a beach that has multiple parking spots that are free. That's where people can park. And also you own the county parking lot, the parking beach and the beach there of 300, almost 400 spots. Our roads are Holmes Beach roads. And we're, again, trying to protect the neighborhoods, and it's a safety concern. You know, and the reason I got involved is because I have a son, and at the time in 2013, he was going to the elementary school, and there was an issue with the traffic, with strangers parking in the neighborhoods, inappropriate behaviors, all kinds of safety concerns. And that's what got me involved, and many of the neighbors that live in that area are all around the island, and said something has to be done. The short-term rental business, we're forgetting about the visitor that paid to stay in a short-term rental home. That's also a visitor. They also brought a car. If you counted all the parking spots that people are parked at homes near the beach, you would see that we're providing that there's parking everywhere that's being taken, to the point that we have flooding on our streets. We have so many concrete driveways, shell that doesn't drain, other ways that water is collecting, because we're building a concrete jungle, like Commissioner Van Ostenbridge said his grandmother called it. And that's what we've got out there. Kids, I've heard kids say, where are all these cars going? When they come to the island's going to sink. That's how the kids think in their mind. They think this isn't right. Even a child knows it isn't. The elementary school is attended 60% by off-island kids. Think about it. That used to be sustained by families that lived on the island. It's very hard to live there now with the cost of housing. But think about the traffic that's coming out. The mother that has to drop off the kids in the morning drives over the bridge, then drives home, then comes back. 4 trips, 2 back and forth, 4 times going over and back every day, Monday through Friday. You think that doesn't also add to the congestion? You think the congestion is due to the day trip people that want to come to the beach. It's not. It's a combination of things. I think that the library, the school, city hall are great ideas. I'm totally open to having those available for people that need to park. And to Commissioner Van Ostenbridge, I agree with you that our Manatee County residents deserve first right to the beach parking spots. These are their beaches. And why don't we dedicate spots to Manatee County residents, the beach access points, the spots at the county beach? And something like that could be done. Because what we are doing is providing beach access, free beaches to all the people in Tampa, Lakeland, Plant City, Orlando, outside of Florida, outside of our country. They're coming and taking our beach spots too. So why don't we do something for our residential community in Manatee County and dedicate some spots to them and not charge them? And to Commissioner Whitmore, I did not vote to reduce the speed in a City of Holmes Beach. I voted no. I don't think that was necessary. And I'm sorry you got a warning. I think I shake my head at that. And I did not vote to charge residents for permit parking. I don't agree with that either. But I will let you know too, Commissioner Van Ostenbridge, you talked about, you can't park on the streets in the permit parking areas. Just to make sure you all are aware that the roads, all our streets are open after 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, you can park in front of any residential home, a house in from the beach if you want, unless it says no parking, and that would be due to a safety concern, or there's a driveway there, or if the neighbors put up rocks, which is happening now. You can park on any of those streets after 5 o'clock and before 9 a.m. So if you want to watch the sunset, come on out and park. It's totally open. So I just wanted to share that information, and hopefully that helps, the conversation. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Christensen. I do have a long list of commissioners wanting to speak. I would just remind you all that it is 11:52, and even if we push this out another 10 minutes, we're looking at 18 minutes. So Commissioner Servia, Bellamy, Sustick, Schaefer, Dr. Hopes, Whitmore, Rash, Titsworth. Commissioner Servia.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want to start by saying, Holmes Beach, you are very important to us. We thank you for being here. Please don't feel attacked, because we want to work with you. I lived on Holmes Beach for years at 52nd Street. I loved to be able to walk down to the end of my street and access the beach. And I understand parking on the street as an issue as well. But I say to everyone here today, this is not a unique problem. Take a look at any city, any beach community, any coastal community in Florida. They have gone through this or are going through the same discussion. I have a couple of questions that I'm going to throw out there just for us to think about. I hear that Holmes Beach has permit parking now. I don't fully understand how that works, but are there a certain number of vehicles per residence that are allowed? Yes? Okay. And when we took an inventory of the parking, did we look at the spaces that are legally available, that don't block driveways, don't block mailboxes? Is that correct, Charlie? Okay. Because that's important, right? We don't want cars blocking the mailbox so residents don't get their mail or can't leave their driveway. These are pretty simple things, right? And I think about an opportunity to maybe paint some stripes on the street where there is an adequate parking spot, and any other is not a good parking spot and will be ticketed. So I like the idea of IDing where the legal parking can be and posting where it can't be. We have to be very clear with the people who are going out there. But you know what I don't like as a planner? I hate planning for cars. I hate it. All of our problems right here are planning for vehicles and more vehicles and more vehicles. So we have to stop thinking about how do we plan for cars. I sit on the MPO. We can't just continue to build lanes to handle traffic. We've got to think differently. We need a parking garage, guys. We have got to have a parking garage. I don't care what it costs, personally. I think that that's a no-brainer. We've got to have a parking garage. The water taxi is going to be great once we get that up and running. How are we handling contractors that come out to the island and have to do work? Let's make sure that they have a place to park. You know, if you're having something fixed at your home, you want to make sure that they can park. Okay. Okay, that's good. I think there's an opportunity for on-time, real-time apps. We have those in other cities where you can pull up your phone and you can see where the legal parking spaces are available right now in real time. So you don't have to keep circling the island. But I think that we have a lot of opportunities here. Let's work together and let's figure it out. We have to figure it out. We can figure it out. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Servia. Commissioner Bellamy.
All righty, the chairman just given me. Charlie, can you pull that slide back up where we identified the number of spaces and things like that? He's given me a professional directive, and I'm going to try
I'm
my
just
best
encouraging you to
follow it.
mind the clock, that's all.
Well, what I wanted to do is identify an action step, right? And I have a confession. I don't go to the beach. And the reason why I don't go to the beach is because I don't want to fight the traffic. So I'll leave 6 o'clock in the morning if I wanted to go to the beach and get out of Palmetto. So this is a real issue, but it's around our growth. Our growth brings traffic, and then our traffic brings parking. But here's the thing that I want to know, and this is the elephant in the room. How do we move on opening up those 480 spaces right there? Because that's a potential action step that we can move on right there. So, we can all give our philosophy and our thoughts on things on how we feel. But again, I would always say I want an action step. So to the City of Holmes Beach commissioners, what needs to be said here today for negotiating purposes in order for us to open back up those 480 spots? That's the first thing. The second thing, and it kind of crossfire about a contract or something that could be revisited. Do you mind if I dialogue with her? I know.
Go ahead.
And you say that it's already been done, and I think Commissioner Whitmore and Commissioner Van Oster said.
The lease.
The lease. Okay, so if the lease has already been revisited.
We're talking about the lease for the library?
Right.
Yes, it has been discussed, but was met with resistance, so we've not gone any further.
Okay, so
But
that's
it's a good
another action
opportunity
step.
to do that.
That is another action step, all right? Identifying how we can open up those 480 spots, the lease for some more parking spaces. And the other thing is, she is asking for facilities, all right? As the mayor, she does not want to ride around her community and look at individuals utilizing the restrooms alongside the roads and things like that. So how do we move the needle to get to her as far as if she's asking for some facilities? And to be honest with you, I'm a little embarrassed because you did invite us out, and I have not came. But I've changed that because I just sent my assistant an email to make sure I visit you and visit my good friend back there because he's invited me a couple of times. So I'm just as guilty, and I don't know who else is, but I can take on responsibility for myself. The safety, as far as the traffic with the first responders, with the congestion, I think we all need to take a little bit more ownership of that and identify how we're going to deal with it. But we do have 2 or 3 action steps. Now, if you're talking about a facility, they probably gonna beat you up about this, Commissioner Servia, but she says she's willing to pay anything about the parking, but that's a whole nother issue with that. And I'm willing to support us moving forward on finding some parking. And I think, if you look at the Holmes Beach, and then I think that's the most northern end where we own that property on Gulf Drive, am I correct? That's the southern end? It's right in the middle? Okay, but that's an area that we can possibly get, but again, that's gonna take a little bit of time. But what my thought is, what are our potential action steps and what can we move on? I do think the 480, even if you cut the number to 240, we're still making some progress. We're still negotiating. I guess, well, he don't want to negotiate that. He want all of them. But my thought is, what are our options? What action steps can we take? Because realistically, we're running out of time with this meeting, and we have not identified any action steps that we're going to move on, so we can make sure that we show everybody that's watching us that we're going to collaborate and we're going to find a way to move the needle and address these issues that we have out here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry, sir.
That's okay. Thank you, Commissioner Bellamy. Commissioner Sustick. Let's go to 1210. We'll make it hard at 1210.
Development. Lake Flores, 1,300 acres by Sarasota Bay, 6,500 homes. It's a 20-year plan, might get bigger. Peninsular Bay, 95 multiple-family homes, 761 single-family homes, 148 apartments, 1 hotel motel. Can't make up their mind, I guess. The latest is 57.55 acres on the north side of Cortez Road near the Palmasola Boulevard. This construction is slated for 148 multiple family units, 44 townhouses, as well as multiple family buildings over parking. This complex is near Lake Flores and Peninsula Bay, which is all Cortez. You want 400 spots? I'd like to see less building. I'd like to see more control of development. I'd like to see us working on infrastructure. We've all got a lot of problems, we know that. But you keep adding people, 400 spots? That's not gonna do nothing, nothing. You have to look big plans, way ahead, invest millions of dollars. You've got to get some kind of express route coming out to the city's beaches. You have to have some plan for continual movement of people, because you can't bring them out there and think they're going to stay there until 5 o'clock and then everybody's going to come back on one bus. You all got to start looking really big. I'd hire Disney. They're very good at moving people. All the beaches are facing this. All of Florida is facing this. This is not going to be solved by giving a little bit of this or a little bit of that. You got to look long range and you got to look big.
Commissioner Sustick, were you born and raised here?
Yes, I was born in Tampa. I'm a third-generation Floridian.
Me too. I've seen an awful lot of change, just like you have. It's tough to swallow sometimes. But, we can't put a gate at the interstate exits, unfortunately. It's beautiful, sunny, low taxes, good conservative leadership. People want to come here. Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes. Thank you. In the interest of time, because I know there are other speakers, I just wanted to illuminate a couple of other things that really have helped, contributed to the excessive visitation, traffic and parking related. In a recent survey released by the city of Bradenton, we learned that 60% of those staying in Bradenton hotels, 60% of the population of those visiting, staying in the city of Bradenton hotels, are coming to the island. This is a mystery phenomenon that has not been addressed, I don't believe. I don't see it in any other studies, but it was very revealing of why people are coming to Bradenton and what 60% of them choose to do on one or many more of their days. So in addition to the staycationers within our state, to those coming from multiple states, from those coming from Manatee County and foreign nations, we have a continuing ballooning of population. I want to reiterate one other thing. They're welcome. I've heard some comments that the inference is we as a city, we as an administration, or we as commissioners don't welcome people visiting. Those of you who feel that way haven't visited the island. And I want to say one other thing. When the parking issue came up and before, and the debate that occurred at the commission level, multiple meetings addressing this issue. I didn't see a one of you. Carol, you were perhaps at one meeting. I didn't see anyone else from the county commission taking an interest before the fact, and you found it very easy to criticize us after the fact. And the truth is, you don't know what life is like on the city, one exception, in our city. So if you had been there, if you had been the recipient of scores of emails, scores of visits with our citizens with regard to traffic and congestion and the related problems with parking, I think you'd have a different vision of what we were faced with regard to trying to find a solution within our city. So, one point that was made earlier by Commissioner Rash and I believe Commissioner Christensen, what hasn't been counted, and I think you need to take into consideration, of the 1,600 rental properties that are within that quarter mile, you need to consider a formula to try to meet your 480 lost parking places of how many? Because I would say, without any science behind it or study on my own, that there are at least two vehicles at every one of those areas. We know we have 1,600. They're not all within the quarter mile range. And I believe Mr. Hunsaker indicated that it's not asking a great deal to walk a quarter of a mile and 10 extra steps to go into a much larger area where cars are parking that aren't getting the consideration of your formula. So if the conversation, and Commissioner Bellamy, I like your points about finding action points. What can we bolt down on an issue? I'd like to suggest that we start with inviting all of you, and if sunshine prohibits you all coming together, and it may very well, and I'll leave that to our attorney and your attorney, but individually, take the tour. Come and walk through our neighborhoods. Don't do it at midnight. Come there on a Saturday. See what life is like with regard to traffic and congestion. I dispute this comment that was made that 480 reduced parking places is added to the congestion. I would say that we can probably find 480 spots, but if your solution is simply reversing what has been accomplished, I think that's where we have a disagreement with. Finding 480 spots, I am more than willing to assist in the effort with the county commission, with their administration, in trying to locate if that's some mystical magic number. And I think it's only a number because that's what the math occurs. And you've got to think, as Carol said, what's it going to be like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? 480 additional spots? It's a spit in the ocean. So plan ahead. It's all about what you're doing as our county commission with allowing uncharted growth. Somewhere along the line, you can't appease the developers every time. And you've got to give some consideration to what they're profiting from. And yes, we have, you as county commissioners, we as a state have an obligation to provide housing, but uncharted and unlimited continued development is the single issue that's exacerbating the problem, and it's been thrust upon us. And I'm glad today we have had some meeting the minds, because I truly believe that we can work together. We can't solve it individually. I hope we can accomplish it together.
Okay, thank you, sir. Always interesting to be told to stop building houses in the middle of a housing shortage and it's essentially a housing crisis.
Can I add one other comment?
No, sir. I'm going to go to Commissioner Rash, Satcher, and Baugh, and we have 2 minutes left. Commissioner Rash, you've already spoken on the issue. I'm going to those who have not spoken yet.
Yes, Commissioner Whitmore, back when they did the permit passing, just for your information, I took and had a motion on the floor that every resident in Holmes Beach got a free parking pass because I thought we deserved it, but I got voted down. Also, as far as the speed goes, I had a family medical, one of my wife had a medical thing and I wasn't allowed to zoom in for the meeting during the thing while my wife was getting attended to. But anyway, I wasn't for the speed change because I think at nighttime. But anyway, I'll get to the thing get to the issue at time right now. I'm for the city working with the school. I'm for working with the library. And I'm also working for, back until a year ago, people could park on the south side of Manatee Avenue and walk over to the beach. And all those places were taken up. I'm for reinstating that for the people because that's as close as you get to the county beach. I would be for that. I took in as far as the parking garage goes, and I gave y'all all a handout. Do you want me to go through them all, Chair, or you want for the people?
We want to stay on the subject of parking
Well,
specifically.
this is parking.
Okay, sir, it's your minutes and you have solutions, so let's hear them.
All right. I did a survey. I got elected twice the #1 vote getter because I represent the residents. And I go out and I talk to the residents, and I talked to 14 residents, and they gave me these things. All 14 did not want parking in our neighborhoods. And I asked about a parking garage at the county beach. And #1 said, the county built it, they operate it, they maintain it. And this was all people different, we're considered the inner circle there, but this was people all over that I talked to because I wanted to get a thing. And most surveys, if you got 14, you'll have the same result if you do 140 people. It just works out that way. #2 was a yes. #3, yes, but put a trolley stop there so people that come out to the parking garage could get on a trolley and go over to one they want to. #4 was just a plain no. #5, they wanted to do the beach capacity study and then decide, and I think that's something we didn't get to talk about at this meeting, but we need to get the beach capacity study to see how much our beaches can tolerate without destroying the habitats of the birds and the turtles and other things. I think because I love wildlife. #6 was an eyesore, parking problem. It bottlenecks like St. Almond Circle. Does not solve people coming to the island and leaving, lots of emission. #7 was yes, a good trade-off to the commission that has our back. #8, no, it doesn't solve any parking problems. #9, no, just more traffic to the island. #10, we should listen what the county has to offer and then decide, see what they have. #11, just a plain yes, great idea. #12, no, we do not need more people. Look at the capacity study again, so that's the second time that came up. #13 was yes, put a trolley running every 15 minutes instead of 20 minutes to get people out. #14, yes, help with the traffic with trolley and find common goals with the county. So in my estimate, we had, out of my 14 people, 7 said they would be interested in looking at what the county had to offer as far as putting a parking garage on the county beach. 4 was a definite no. And 2 wanted to see the study, the environmental study on how much people that the beach can handle safely without destroying it. And that's all I got to say, and I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir, Commissioner, I appreciate your thoughts. Commissioner Satcher and Commissioner Baugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I kind of feel like we have gone full circle. And I guess that's my fault for jumping into this this issue early in the meeting. First of all, I want to remind all of us, this is not just for one contingent or the other. This is for all of us. We are remarkably blessed to live in this nation and in this country, to have the things that we have, to have the just basic safety. I've got a friend that sent me pictures of Girls about the age of my daughter sleeping on a basement floor in Ukraine, you know? And then in Haiti, you go and you go to a place, 120 kids, not a dadgum well. You know, they got to ship in water and depend on somebody showing up to pay the guy with water to show up. So whether in Parrish or Lakewood Ranch or Holmes Beach or the town, Palmetto, et cetera, we are very blessed to have this as our major issue that we're trying to solve. That being said, I do think we can do it. I think it's an attainable goal. What I am leery of is if our discussions are all in the future with no commitment and no real desire to solve the issue, then we are all just wasting time. And so I appreciate Commissioner Rash. He had some ideas there of potential solutions. And that would be my question. Perhaps I'll ask offline from the mayor. Do you have 3 votes for which potential solutions? And then we'll pursue them. But if it's let's study and let's send this off for 6 months and then 9 months and then we'll talk and then we'll see about this. And boy, I hate that you're allowing someone, you know, to build on their own property. And that's not what I'm saying that I'm hearing. That's what I hope I'm not hearing. But if that's it, you know, and if then we may not have anything to talk about until, well, I don't want to speak. Let's hope that that's incorrect, that there are solutions that we can allow more people to access the beach. But I will say that throughout this meeting, I've learned some things. I've learned that there's not a trolley stop. I've learned that on the entire, you know, all of Holmes Beach, there's no place that comes to mind for a taxi to come. And I didn't, for a water taxi, and I didn't hear anyone propose, but I'm looking forward to building one or giving one access. You know, so maybe we just have totally different goals. Maybe one side of this negotiation doesn't want to solve the issue. I hope that's not true. I hope that we can. And if so, I am all about making it happen and making it as convenient for the citizens of Holmes Beach and the elected leadership there as possible. And I'm not trying to make anyone look bad or anything else. Let's figure out a way to let the people that live here be able to enjoy God's beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I have visited Holmes Beach. I've been to Carroll's several times. I've been in office 10 years. I know what goes on in Holmes Beach. I know what goes on the island. I've spent many a night on the island. Mayor Chappie's still here. Bottom line, I think what we have here, number one, we're not going to put a gate up at Manatee County and say you can't move here. We can't do that. We're not going to do that. Second of all, I think that, you know, we do have a shortage, believe it or not, of housing in Manatee County. Perhaps you're commissioners of Holmes Beach. Maybe you're not familiar with all of Manatee County. I don't know how many's been to Lakewood Ranch. Thank you. I knew you'd say that. I knew you would. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, sometimes we, you know, like it was brought up, you know, well, y'all all need to, you know, you haven't been to our meetings. Well, we have 3 commissioners that covers the islands. We have 2 at large and Commissioner Van Ostenbridge. I'm a district commissioner. No, I've not gone out to any of your meetings. But we do have 3 commissioners that do make sure that we know what's going on the island. Now, I see the mayor's already shaking her head no at me. You see there? Here, I'm just saying, they don't have to come to your meetings to know what's going on, trust me. We hear about it quite often, especially from this one. And I say that lovingly, I mean, in a good way. I know, but I did. I said it. Bottom line, we do need to work together. And I feel like just sitting here listening, except you, Kenneth Ken, or Kentucky Ken, I like you.
I'm different.
I like all of you, but Kentucky Ken, that's a neat name. But the bottom line is I feel like we've got a little bit maybe of a different philosophy going on. I really can feel it and sense it. And then I look at your list of items that you wanted to discuss with us. Well, you know, some of them really, I mean, okay, I can see how maybe you came up with them, but I think we have a major difference in our philosophy and the way we think and the way we govern versus the way you govern. Let's just put it at that. I think what we need to do is forget all that and work together for the betterment of all the citizens of Manatee County. And that's really what I think you're hearing from all of us. You know, I really appreciate your survey of your 14 residents. That tells me a lot. I do appreciate it. And I listened intently when you were going over that. We need to think about those 14 and the rest of them that live in Holmes Beach and the rest of them in Manatee County. I also heard about other cities. I'm not concerned about other cities. They have their own issues. Our issues are Manatee County, and we have a lot that we need to do. Madam Mayor, you brought up about, I think, well, maybe, I'm not sure if it was you now or not, but we talked about building a parking garage. You know, we talked about that. You wanted to hold us to 35 feet. If we're going to put in a parking garage, let's put in a parking garage. You got to work on your density.
You have height restrictions.
You have height
It's
restrictions.
a charter. It's up to the people.
Okay, well, you got to
We have
meet
to
us
vote.
halfway. When you going to start?
Yeah, no, you're right.
You got to help us.
I can't.
So, you know, we'd love to build a parking garage. Could it be tomorrow? No. Would it be tomorrow? No. It takes a lot more time than that. So I think what I'm hearing from the majority of our commissioners, or at least I'll just tell you my view, I'd love to work with you. But you got to show us something, and I haven't heard a lot. I did hear some from you, and I appreciate that. And I heard, what was the, I'm sorry, what's her last name? Thank you. Yeah, she had some great ideas as well. But it's going to take all of us realizing we need to work together. We have spent, I mean, I'm looking at, you know, the expenses that the county pays, and it looks like this year it's going to be 3.2 million. Holmes Beach. So, I mean, we do quite a bit. But we need some parking spaces, and I think that's what you're hearing from this board. That is really what we want to tackle and what we expect. Let's start by stopping what is taking place and then work together to try and solve it. I don't know what all the answers are, but I can tell you, I heard my fellow Commissioner Bellamy. We do need to figure out some steps, but I don't think we're going to find any today. I think what we need to do is take today and schedule another meeting and continue the conversation. Because I can tell you, I'm not ready to make any commitments at this point because I haven't heard really major commitments that, you know, you're trying to make. So let's work together. Let's have another meeting and try to solve some of these issues. At least that's where I'd be coming from. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Baugh. I think that's a very good idea. This meeting was scheduled to end at 12 o'clock. It's 12:22. I have 6 people on the board, and that would lead us right into our next meeting. And, you know, some of us have to eat, and certainly the clerk, as a county employee, needs to have a lunch hour at some point. So I think this is a very good first step. I think we all got some things off of our chests and sat down face to face, and it was a great first step. So obviously we have agenda items we didn't get to, and this agenda item is probably one that will be discussed further in our next meeting. So we talked about some actionable items. I hope that everybody will sort of go home and think about those actionable items and maybe come back to the next meeting or send us a proposal. By all means, send us a proposal at any time.
Can you schedule another meeting, Mr. Chair?
We will work on scheduling another meeting, and hopefully we can make it sooner than later. Maybe we can move some things around and try and make it sooner than later. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a safe trip home. This meeting is adjourned.